Chapter 629. Not long after Charlotte returned to the new workshop, Fan arrived. She had already changed out of her work clothes and put on the clothes she wore in the laboratory. It was a white long-sleeved antibacterial coat, a black short skirt and a white t-shirt. It looked like a piece of cream candy. She also brought a notepad and a camera. Song Baiching had given her and Fan Yiming a week's time limit. She had to show a positive attitude. Charlotte smiled. Didn't your grandfather and Mr. Song come? He clearly knew the answer. Fan said, they were talking about the X-Mystic Gold project. I couldn't get a word in, so I came over. That Mr. Song is really troublesome. That Mr. Song isn't your grandfather's student, right? Charlotte asked casually. Fan said, my grandfather has a lot of students. I know almost all of them, but this is the first time I've seen Mr. Song. So you're not sure? Fan nodded. Yes. If he hadn't seen the conversation between her and Fan Yiming in the laboratory, Charlotte would have thought that she was lying. But now he didn't think so. He also began to understand her. She was just playing an awkward role in this matter. Fan was silent for a moment before saying, forget it, I'll tell you. He isn't my grandfather's student at all. He's the person in charge of this project. He gave my grandfather a week's time limit. He said. Charlotte smiled. What did he say? Fan gathered her courage. He said he wanted to understand your physical condition in a week. If my grandfather and I can't complete this task in a week, he will find someone else to do it. Charlotte knew all of this, but when Fan said it personally, it gave off a different feeling. Xia Lei was very happy in his heart, but he pretended to be angry on the surface. I'm willing to cooperate because of you and Elder Fan. Who does he think he is? Does he have the right to use me as a lab rat? Fan seemed to be infected by Charlotte, and her emotions became a little agitated. Yeah, I also feel that it's unfair for you. You risked your life to retrieve the ancient alloy, and you also risked your life to study it. You've created the world's leading XL 2500 sniper rifle and Gale assault rifle for this country, as well as the world's most advanced AI machine tool. Even the European and American countries are eager to get their hands on it. You are our hero, the idol of us researchers, but they treat you like this. This is not fair to you. Without waiting for her to finish speaking, Charlotte suddenly pulled her into his arms and bent down to kiss her lip. At that moment, Fan instinctively leaned back, wanting to avoid it, but she overestimated the flexibility of her slender waist and Charlotte's technique. Just as she leaned back, Charlotte's right arm wrapped around her waist, and his upper body leaned forward, chasing after her cherry lip. And he only needed a second to catch up. Her lips were moist and sweet, and he couldn't help but suck them in. Fan moaned, and her delicate body trembled. Her physical and psychological defenses collapsed in an instant. Long before Fan Yiming and Song Baiching arrived, she had already been conquered by Charlotte. Now, if Charlotte wanted to conquer her again, all he needed was a kiss and a few seconds. He was her idol, her hero, and he fulfilled all the requirements of her dream love partner. Since he was so proactive, what reason did she have to refuse? His kiss was so wonderful, and at that moment she felt like she was flying in the clouds. Every breath she inhaled was filled with sweetness and happiness. Why should she struggle to escape? For Charlotte, Fan Yiming and Song Baiching's sudden arrival was a sign that the crisis had escalated. In front of him was his only chance to win over Fan. He must use this opportunity to settle Fan as soon as possible. Right here. In his arms, Fan had already turned into a pile of soft mud. Her breathing was heavy, and her face was flushed red. Her body kept trembling, as if she was in extreme pain, but also extremely happy. And this was just the beginning. Charlotte picked her up and walked to the temporary lounge in the workshop. There was a sofa there. You really want to do it here, with me? In Charlotte's arms, Fan was very nervous. Girls attached great importance to their first time. Some girls wanted their first time to happen in a luxurious palace, some girls wanted their first time to happen in the most luxurious hotel, and some girls wanted their first time to happen in a garden full of flowers. No girl wanted their first time to happen in a dirty workshop lounge. Charlotte's lounge looked really dirty. On the ground, there were several sets of work clothes that he had changed out of and were waiting to be washed. There were also some instant noodle boxes and some other garbage. Charlotte put her on the sofa. This was his answer. Are you serious? Fan was even more nervous. Charlotte unbuttoned her white antibacterial clothes. This was his answer. I am serious. If you just want to play, I beg you not to continue. I can't stand that kind of hurt. My heart is as sensitive as my body. I think I will die. Fan's eyes were full of pleading and desire. Charlotte's hand reached into her short skirt, hooked the rubber band, and took out the white lace hidden inside. This was his answer. Talk to me, I beg you, talk to me, tell me you love me, you're serious, tell me. Charlotte pressed down and blocked her mouth with his tongue. This was his answer. Soon, Fan's mouth was only left with nonsense that even God couldn't understand. She felt like she was a fish swimming in the wave. The waves of happiness hit her, surrounded her, and took her to the place where the mermaids lived. She also found that her questions just now were so boring, so unnecessary, and not as good as Charlotte's rough action. Finally, it was done. After an unknown period of time, the chaotic and passionate scene finally came to a stop. Fan quietly curled up in Charlotte's arms, and every cell in her body was full of happiness. Her special constitution brought her a lot of troubles, but it also brought her happiness that other women couldn't enjoy. At this moment, in her eyes, not only did Charlotte become the most beautiful man in the world, but even the dirty lounge in front of her was beautiful, and it didn't make her feel disgusted. Charlotte said in her ear, "You asked me so many questions just now, do you still want to know the answer?" Fan looked at Charlotte. Her eyes were full of love, and the corners of her mouth also bloomed into a sweet smile. "I don't want to know. If you want to lie to me for a lifetime." This was such a sweet word of love. Charlotte's heart gave birth to a faint trace of guilt. He approached her, he conquered her, from the beginning with a purpose, not love. Fan was such a kind and pure, even fragile girl, but he had to cruelly lie to her. This feeling was not good. And what made him even more uncomfortable was that this scam had to continue. "Fool, if I lie to you for a lifetime, won't you be very pitiful?" "No, I think I'm very happy now. I've never been so happy. Do you know how many times I've been happy?" "What?" "That." "Which?" Fan bit her cherry lips, and then whispered something to Charlotte's ear. Charlotte's mouth opened wide, and he couldn't close it. It was such a small secret, but Charlotte suddenly felt that she was the most interesting woman he had ever seen, and she also quietly drilled into his heart, using her own way to treat the scars left by Shintu-Tianyin. In fact, the best medicine to treat the scars brought about by love was not time, but new love. "Don't laugh at me, I don't want to, but my body is like this, the moment you touch me, I can't help it," Fan said shyly. She buried her head in Charlotte's chest, not daring to look into his eyes. Fan, I love you." Fan moaned, and her delicate body suddenly trembled. Charlotte was stunned for a moment, and he said in surprise, "You're not doing that again, are you?" Fan bit her lip, and didn't say anything, but she lightly nodded. Charlotte. He was speechless, but he knew that from now on, he had an exquisite girlfriend by his side. After a while of tenderness, Charlotte said, Fan, from now on, I will fully cooperate with you and your grandfather. In 1 week, you and your grandfather will be able to give Song Baiching a satisfactory answer." And then? Fan's mind was no longer on work. Charlotte sighed, and then? "I don't know. If there's something in your research report that Song Baiching is interested in, I think I might become a real lab rat." "I don't know if I can still see you then. I'm so worried, I'm a little scared. Fan Fan suddenly covered Charlotte's mouth. I won't let you continue, it's not fair to you. You're a hero, and you're also the most intelligent person I've ever met. How can someone like you become their lab rat? I don't agree. Charlotte moved her hand away and he smiled bitterly. There's nothing I can do if you don't agree. This is just the beginning, and that Song Baiching is already so strong. Although I don't know what his real identity is, even your grandfather has to listen to his commands. How can his identity be simple? In addition, you think I'm a hero, the person with the highest IQ in the world, but in the eyes of Song Baiching and some other people, I'm a rare research subject. I represent a lot of benefits, and this benefit is so great that they're willing to destroy me. Do you understand what I mean? Fan Fan hugged Charlotte tightly. I won't allow anyone to hurt you. You're not a lab rat, you're my hero, you're the person I love, I can do anything for you. Tell me, what should I do to help you? You want to help me? You're telling me this at a time like this. Do you want me to stand by and watch? Do you want me to submit a research report that turns you into a lab rat? Fan Fan was angry, and her little eyes were fierce. She was serious. Charlotte's heart was moved, and he couldn't help but turn over and press her under his body. I'm talking about something very important, we can talk about it like this. Fan Fan. Chapter 630. The mysterious ZN Bureau brought a crisis to Charlotte. This crisis was actually within his expectations, but it just came ahead of time. Before Song Baiching arrived, Charlotte was fighting alone. Now, he had a comrade, and that was Fan Fan. The next day, in the laboratory on the first floor of the villa. Mr. Xia, thank you for your cooperation. That's it for today. I will come to you when I need your help. Fan Fan said to Charlotte with a blank expression. Charlotte pulled out the wire of the instrument stuck to his skin, put on his clothes, and left the laboratory. During the whole process, he didn't say a word to Fan Fan. Of course, this was done for Song Baiching. This laboratory was installed with surveillance cameras after Song Baiching arrived. He could see the scene of Fan Fan's work. Just after Charlotte left Fan Fan's laboratory, Song Baiching and Fan Yiming bought Fan Fan's laboratory. Fan Fan was sorting out the information of Charlotte's body that she had just collected. When Song Baiching and Fan Yiming came in, she just looked up and then buried herself in her work. Mr. Song, Charlotte is a very smart person. You see, he was very cooperative when you came, Fan Yiming said. He is indeed a very smart person. Don't you think he is too smart? While speaking, Song Baiching walked to Fan Fan's workbench and looked at Fan Fan's work. Fan Fan stopped her work. Mr. Song, you are interfering with my work. If there is nothing else, please leave here. Song Baiching frowned slightly. Fan Fan's attitude obviously made him a little uncomfortable, but he didn't show it. He smiled. Well, you are the most outstanding talent in the field of bioengineering in the country. I believe in your ability. I just came to see how your work is going. By the way, can you handle it in a week? Fan Fan said faintly, If I can't handle it, no one in the country can. 1 week, no problem. I'll give you a satisfactory report in a week. That's good. You can continue with your work. Song Baiching turned around and left. Fan Yiming said, Fan Fan, how can you speak to Mr. Song with such an attitude? Fan Fan looked at Fan Yiming. Is there something wrong with my attitude? I'm a researcher, and I'm only responsible for my own work. I don't need to please a person of unknown origin. You. Fan Yiming was a little angry, but he didn't know what to say. Then, he turned around and left. In the corridor, Song Baiching said, Elder Fan, you don't have to care about my attitude. I'm not like those officials who value their reputation more than anything else. I want results, not face. Fan Fan is the best bioengineer in our country. I believe in her ability. That's enough. Fan Yiming sighed. It's all my and her parents' fault for spoiling her. This child doesn't know how to speak, and her ability to interact with others is also weak. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. I'm going to Charlotte's workshop to take a look. Elder Fan, do you want to come? Okay, let's go to Charlotte's workplace to take a look. I really want to see how he works, Fan Yiming said. Just as Fan Yiming and Song Baicheng left the villa, in the laboratory, Fan Fan looked at the data on the apparatus in shock. Her expression was like she was looking at a cat that grew wings and could fly. But this expression of shock only lasted for a short period of time, so short that it only lasted for a few blinks of the eye. Then, she returned to her previous state, calm and focused, a standard working state. However, her heart was in turmoil. Under inductive microstimulation, his brain's Y-wave frequency exceeded 300 Hz. This is almost 10 times that of a normal person. And this is only a weak inductive stimulation. If he was extremely focused on something, or in a fighting state, how strong would his brain waves be? My God, what kind of brain does he have? In her mind suddenly appeared the scene of Charlotte using chalk to solve chemistry problems in the Academy of Science. At that time, Charlotte calmly stood in front of the blackboard, writing as if his pen was flying. Even for some parts that required the assistance of a calculator, he wrote the answer without thinking. His calculation speed was amazing. Now that she thought about it, this was not a coincidence. If Charlotte didn't have this kind of extraordinary brain, how could he have done this? She also thought of Xia Lei's various achievements. He had single-handedly developed the XL 2500 sniper rifle and the Gale assault rifle. He had also single-handedly created the Lei Long intelligent machine tool. He could even process ultra-precision parts that were currently impossible to process in the entire world. After being in a daze for a long time, her heart came up with a sentence. Could it be that I fell in love with a super brain? No, that's not the right name. I should describe him as Mighty Superman. Wait, Mighty Superman? Pfft, what am I thinking? He is my boyfriend. Although, I can't disclose our relationship now. I should do something for him. Her thinking was as special as her physique, but her actions were not at all ambiguous. She skillfully operated the apparatus and changed the abnormal data on it. She didn't know that her every move was under the surveillance of Charlotte. Just as she was changing the data, behind the villa, Charlotte withdrew his X-ray vision and then ran like a civet through the green belt to the new workshop. He had to rush into the new workshop before Song Baicheng and Fan Yiming arrived. When Charlotte returned to the new workshop, Song Baicheng and Fan Yiming hadn't arrived yet. The image of Fan Fan changing the data appeared in Charlotte's mind, and his mouth also showed a trace of a smile. Previously, when he was tested on his brain in the laboratory, faced with Fan Fan and the guided stimulation of the instrument, he was actually able to control his thoughts and make his brain's reaction less intense. But he didn't do that. He wanted her to see something real and then observe her reaction. If Fan Fan didn't change the test data, then his plan to use the handsome man trick would actually fail, and he would have to deal with the later part carefully. But judging from Fan Fan's reaction, his original plan to use the handsome man trick was successful, and it was quite successful. This also strengthened his confidence to get through this crisis according to the original plan, because with Fan Fan's help, he had more options. In addition, he had another purpose. That was to let Fan Fan come into contact with his extraordinary brain. She liked men with high IQ, and doing this would help him to further conquer her heart. Only by making her fall in love with him, would she be willing to work for him. Falling in love would make a woman become blindly obedient, and this was exactly what he wanted. At this time, Fan Yiming's voice came from the workshop. Mr. Xia, are you inside? If possible, we would like to come in and take a look. Charlotte grabbed a piece of cloth soaked in engine oil, wiped his body and hands, and then went to open the door. Sorry, Mr. Xia, I'm disturbing your work, Song Baicheng said politely. Charlotte said, It's okay, please come in. Fan Yiming and Song Baiching entered the new workshop, and the workshop door automatically closed. Mr. Xia, your security measures here are very good, Song Baiching said. Charlotte said, Mr. Song, if you weren't old Fan's student, I wouldn't have let you in. Do you know what I'm doing here? Let me tell you, I'm building the second generation of the Thunder Dragon AI machine tool. It will surpass the previous generation. Once it comes out, it will become the world's unique super integrated AI machine tool. Not only will it improve the productivity and manufacturing level of our Thunder Horse Army factory, it will also become a decent business card of our China manufacturing. Mr. Xia, you're really amazing. Fan Yiming sighed. Although I study materials science, I also know the gap between our country's manufacturing and Europe and America's. You've wiped out this gap, and even walked in front of Europe and America's manufacturing. With your XL 2500 sniper rifle, Gale assault rifle, and Thunder Dragon AI machine tool, you've made me sigh in admiration. Charlotte smiled. Old Fan, you're too polite. Fan Yiming said, I'm not polite, your achievements have already surpassed my lifetime achievements. Not to mention those scientific scum who only know how to do research on paper to cheat funding. You're a practical person, and your things have brought real benefits to this country. Charlotte used the corner of his eye to observe the change in Song Baiching's expression. Song Baiching's face didn't have any obvious change. He just listened to Fan Yiming's praise. It was a kind of indifferent attitude. Charlotte felt a bit uncomfortable, but he didn't show it on his face. He smiled and said, Haha, old Fan, not everyone agrees with my work and achievements. Some people drink milk, but think about the taste of beef. Who knows, they might already have the idea of slaughtering the cow and eating its meat. Song Baiching's expression finally changed. He looked at Charlotte and said lightly, Mr. Xia, what do you mean by that? Charlotte said, Nothing, just a bit emotional. Song Baiching said, Some emotions are better left unsaid, because emotions themselves have no power, they can't change anything. Charlotte laughed. Mr. Song's opinion is really unique, and it makes sense. However, I, Charlotte, am not an indecisive and sentimental weakling. I will only do things that I am willing to do. No one can force me to do things that I am not willing to do. Mr. Xia, you are without a doubt a very strong person. Your ability has already surpassed all the people I know. However, in the end, you are only one person, your power will always have a limit. If I may be so bold to ask, in the face of an absolutely strong external force, will you still be able to do something that no one can force you to do? Song Baiching's eyes had a hint of provocation. Charlotte slightly shrugged. Mr. Song, then do you think that a person like me needs to do things according to other people's wishes? I believe that everything has a limit. I have a tolerant attitude towards some people and things, but my patience has a limit. If a person or something exceeds your limit, what will you do? Haha. I probably have a lot of choices. Emigrating is probably one of them. I believe that it won't be difficult to find a suitable place for me in this world. United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Russia, Sweden, Canada, etc. I think that as long as I spread the news, they will send people to contact me. After all, I have too many things in my hands that they can only dream of obtaining. Song Baiching originally had a trace of a smile on his face, but when he heard Charlotte say emigrate, the smile on his face disappeared. Indeed, for a super talent like Charlotte, as long as he wanted to emigrate, there was almost no country that would not be willing to accept him. In this world, not all countries were allies of the United States. If there were countries that were willing to provide political asylum for Snowden, then there would definitely be countries that would be willing to accept Charlotte. Moreover, with the technology that Charlotte had in his hands, his value was simply 10,000 times that of Snowden's. Haha, you guys are talking too far. Fan Yiming seemed to feel the smell of gunpowder between the two of them. He quickly came out to save the situation. Mr. Xia, You can busy yourself. Our purpose here is just to take a look. You don't have to deliberately greet us. And okay then, you guys can take a look, I have to start working. Charlotte walked to the site where the second generation of Lei Long AI was assembled. This could be considered as his first direct confrontation with Song Baiching from the ZN Bureau, and he, a small army of the other side. Exceeded my bottom line? Fine, I will make you lose both your money and your life. This was the signal that Charlotte released to Song Baiching. Chapter 631. There were a lot of people who came to the cafeteria for dinner. Charlotte sat alone at a table, and no one dared to disturb him. In the eyes of the workers of the Thunder Horse military factory, he was almost like a king. Moreover, the king seemed to be very angry. Charlotte's angry appearance was made for Song Baiching and Fan Yiming to see, and the two of them were also eating in the cafeteria. There was also Fan, who was also in the cafeteria, sitting at the same table with Song Baiching and Fan Yiming. Fan actually wanted to eat at the same table with Charlotte, but her relationship with Charlotte could not be discovered by Song Baiching and his grandfather. Moreover, for a long time in the future, her relationship with Charlotte had to be carried out in secret and could not be made public. However, she had no regret. He looks very angry. Fan Yiming lowered his voice. Mr. Song, are we pushing him too hard? Song Baiching said, I am also following orders. Whether he is happy or not, you have to give me a satisfactory answer within this week. The conversation between the two had been under the surveillance of the corner of Charlotte's eyes, and he also used the lip-reading technique to interpret the conversation between the two. All right then. Fan Yiming looked at Fan and said, Did you hear that? You have to hurry up. Fan said, All right, then I will carry out another project tonight to collect his body fluids. 1 week I can give a realistic research report. Very good, you are the best bioengineer in the country, I believe you. Song Baiching said. Fan said, however, I have to take down the surveillance camera in my laboratory. Mr. Xia is very disgusted with that surveillance camera. He said that it is an invasion of him. Song Baiching frowned. Is this his request? No, I was the one who suggested it, said Fan. But tonight, you can't let him hand over that kind of sample under your supervision. If you insist, you go and persuade him. Song Baiching thought for a moment and said, All right, just tonight. These conversations did not escape Charlotte's eyes and his lip-reading spell. He liked Fan more and more. Ding-ling-ling, ding-ling-ling, Charlotte's cell phone suddenly rang. Charlotte took out his phone and glanced at it. The caller ID made him stunned. The contact shown on the screen was wife. This call was from Shintu Tianyin. Although he had divorced Shintu Tianyin, the contact on his phone was still wife. He had not changed it. Why is she calling? Charlotte's heart was full of curiosity. After hesitating for a moment, he still answered the phone. Honey. It was Shintu Tianyin's voice. You. Charlotte's answer. Shintu Tianyin still called him husband. He did not know what to say. Oh, I was wrong. It was Shintu Tianyin's voice. We are divorced now. I can't call you husband anymore. But I'm used to it. You don't mind, do you? Charlotte smiled bitterly. No, how have you been recently? Not good. Shintu Tianyin said. Charlotte did not know what to say again. Is Liang Xiao back? It was Shintu Tianyin's voice. She's back. How do you know? Charlotte was very surprised because Liang Xiao's current identity was an agent of 101 innings. Her rank was the same as Tang Yuyan and Long Bing. Shintu Tianyin was a businesswoman. She had almost no channel to know about this. Ryu Yongnam and Xiaoxue bought a house for Liang Xiao. That building happened to belong to the Wanxiang Group. Xiaoxue specifically pointed out on the purchase contract that the names of Liang Xiao and Liang Zhengchun should be signed on the title, so I guessed that Liang Xiao was back. Shintu Tianyin said. Why did Xiaoxue and Zhengnen go to the Wanxiang group to buy a house? Really, aren't they deliberately causing trouble? Charlotte's heart was depressed, but he said, Liang Zhengchun is my master. You know that. After returning to China, he has been renting a house. He is my master. I have to be filial to him. I know, so I asked the person in charge of the building to pick the best villa in the building for your master and Liang Xiao. I only charge 1 yuan. I have asked Xiaoxue to use the WeChat red envelope to complete the payment. Shintu Tianyin said. How can this be? How much is the villa? I will pay you the balance. You want to talk to me about money? Well, you come here. Let's calculate how much I owe you. I will pay you the balance. If I don't have enough money, I will mortgage it to you. Charlotte, when are you coming to see my dad? He wants to see you and talk to you. Charlotte was silent for a while and said, after a while, the Thunder Horse Army factory is being upgraded. I can't leave. Shintu Tianyin sighed, well, that's it. You hang up first. Well, then. Goodbye. Charlotte hung up the phone. His heart was filled with melancholy, but there was also a sense of relaxation, as if he had put down a stone in his heart. At this time, Song Baiching, Fan Yiming and Fan Fan finished eating and passed by Charlotte's table. Mr. Xia, please enjoy. Fan Yiming greeted Charlotte. Charlotte said lightly, take care. Fan Fan said, Mr. Xia, please come to my laboratory later. Charlotte frowned, I've been tired all day. Can't I have a good rest at night? Fan Fan said, Mr. Xia, it won't take much of your time. It will be over soon. Charlotte didn't say anything and looked very unhappy. Song Baiching said, Mr. Xia, please cooperate. I think you also want to settle this matter as soon as possible. Only then did Charlotte say, okay, I'll come over later. Fan Fan just glanced at Charlotte with a cold expression, but her eyes contained tenderness and honey. Then, she left with Fan Yiming and Song Baiching. Charlotte was slightly happy and thought to himself, her acting skills are not bad. She has the potential to be a secret agent. After all, she was a woman with a high IQ. There were some things that she didn't need Charlotte to teach her. She also knew what to do. Just after Song Baiching, Fan Yiming and Fan Fan left the cafeteria, Charlotte also got up and left the cafeteria. He chose another path to return to the villa behind the factory. He didn't walk far before he saw Song Baiching, Fan Yiming and Fan Fan on the other side of the road. The speed of the 3 people wasn't fast. Song Baiching and Fan Yiming were talking about something, and Fan Fan was walking at the back, occasionally looking back in the direction of the cafeteria. Charlotte's eyes locked on Song Baiching. Just as he was about to use the lip-reading technique to interpret the conversation between Song Baiching and Fan Yiming, Song Baiching suddenly took out his cell phone and said something to Fan Yiming. Then, he walked to the side of the road to answer the phone. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. His left eye immediately locked on Song Baiching's lips and used the lip-reading technique to interpret Song Baiching's words. Yes, yes. Charlotte is quite cooperative, but he has some conflicting emotions. I don't care about his emotions. This matter is not up to him. Well, he probably doesn't know my identity yet, but he is a very smart person. I think he will have relevant speculations. Yes, yes, I will pay attention. He won't know the existence of the ZN Bureau. Right, he argued with me a few words today. He seemed to have given me a hint. He said that if I cross his bottom line, he may emigrate. Closely monitor his every move? No problem, also freeze his passport. If he goes abroad before the results come out, it will be terrible. Although he couldn't hear the voice on the phone, Charlotte could guess that the person who called Song Baiching wasn't simple. Based on Song Baiching's current behavior, he seemed to be the subordinate of that person. Could it be the leader of the ZN Bureau? Charlotte guessed in his heart. Fan Fan and Fan Yiming? No problem, these 2 people are no problem. Fan Yiming is the top material scientist in the country, and Fan Fan is the best bioengineer in the country. Fan Fan will be responsible for the part aimed at Charlotte, and Fan Yiming will be responsible for the later part of the X-Secret Gold project. This is our plan. So far, it has been going well. Results? It will take a week for the results to come out. Based on the parts that have been completed so far, Charlotte's body is stronger than the average person, but it is still within the normal range. There is nothing special. Of course, the most important data on the genetic chain has not come out yet. These two projects will take some time. I will urge Fan Fan to give the results as soon as possible. The genetic chain was the common name for DNA. Its main function was to store information for a long period of time. It was the blueprint of life. The instructions contained in it were needed to construct other compounds in the cell, such as proteins and RNA. DNA fragments with genetic information were called genes. As for the other DNA sequences, some directly functioned according to their own structure, while others were involved in regulating the expression of genetic information. It was easy to imagine how useful it was. In Fan Fan's research, this project was undoubtedly the most important project, and it was also the most difficult hurdle for Charlotte. Because according to the function of the genetic chain, Charlotte's evolution would leave information in his genetic chain. Once this information was read, the secret that his body was in a state of evolution was no longer a secret. The information stored in the genetic chain could not be extracted by ordinary doctors, but the person responsible for this was the best bioengineer in China, Fan Fan. This kind of thing was nothing to her. Some people in the military are pressuring you? I'm not surprised. Charlotte is providing them with the best equipment so that they can hold their heads high internationally. However, they are martial artists after all, and their vision is very limited. They don't know how important what we are doing is. Our goal is the future. Mr. Z, no matter what, I will complete this mission. Goodbye. Mr. Z? Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. This was the first time he had received information about a senior member of the ZN Bureau. Although this was most likely just a code name, the significance to him was extraordinary. Song Baiching put away his phone and walked to the villa. Charlotte withdrew his gaze and also walked to the villa. This was not an open and above-board confrontation. The ZN Bureau was in the dark, and he was in the light. He needed to grasp more information about the ZN Bureau, and Song Baiching was the only way for him to obtain this information. While walking, Charlotte spoke on his phone. Hey Yu Yen, help me investigate Song Baiching. I want all of his information. Tang Yuyen's voice came from the phone. It's really strange. You didn't ask Long Bing to help you with this kind of thing. You asked me? Are you going to help or not? Just tell me. You only know how to be mean to me. Did I say I won't help you? Then thank you. A thank you is not enough. Treat me to a meal and a movie. No problem. Call me after you're done. I'll treat you to a meal and a movie. Okay, wait for my news. Charlotte put away his phone and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. There was only one reason why he didn't ask Long Bing to ask Tang Yuyen for help. That was, Long Bing had no one behind her, while Tang Yuyen had the huge Tang family behind her. Anyone who wanted to touch Tang Yuyen would have to think twice before doing so. Chapter 632. The doors and windows of the laboratory were tightly shut, and even the curtains were drawn so that no light could pass through. The surveillance camera installed in the corner of the wall had also been taken down, and Song Baiching could no longer monitor the situation here. Fan Fan had made so many preparations just to collect Charlotte's sample. I'm ready. Are you ready? Under the light, Fan Fan looked at Charlotte lovingly. What kind of sample do you want to collect? Charlotte had actually guessed it long ago, and there was a mischievous smile at the corner of his mouth. Fan Fan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. What do you think? How are you going to collect the sample? Fan Fan leaned forward and gently unzipped Charlotte's zipper. Is the sample you're collecting accurate? Anyway, you don't want me to give that song guy a real research report, do you, my Superman? Charlotte was speechless. Fan Fan squatted down next to Charlotte's body. She wanted to use her little mouth to persuade Charlotte to hand over his sample. There were footsteps outside the door, and Charlotte looked back nervously. In the vision of his left eye, the wall and the door disappeared at the same time. It was also at that moment that Song Baiching appeared in front of his eyes. There were no surveillance cameras, but this did not seem to hinder Song Baiching's interest in filling in the blank. He approached the door quietly, and his expression was a little nervous and cautious. Song Baiching came to the door, and then put one ear on the door. It was obvious that he wanted to eavesdrop on the movements in the laboratory. Fan Fan was still buried in her work, but the eavesdropper outside the door had already made Charlotte nervous. Fortunately, the process of Fan Fan persuading him was very gentle. Otherwise, if it was as exaggerated as in the movies, the eavesdropper outside the door would have reached out and knocked on the door. Song Baiching wasn't a fool. The fact that he came here meant that he had his strength. It wasn't easy to deceive him. Charlotte bit the bullet and pinched Fan Fan's face. After getting her attention, she pointed to the door and mouthed to her, "Someone is outside." Fan Fan was a smart girl. She quickly understood what had happened. After a moment of silence, she suddenly said, "Mr. Xia, you don't have to feel embarrassed. It's nothing. You can think of me as a doctor in a hospital. Patients don't need to be embarrassed in front of doctors." Her reaction was really fast. Charlotte breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Well, I can treat you as a doctor in the hospital, but please turn around. I really can't take samples in front of you." "Okay, no problem." Fan Fan lowered her head again. There were some things that girls were born to do, but not all girls were willing to do so for their men. But Fan Fan wanted to think that Charlotte did this because Charlotte was her hero, her Superman. Charlotte continued, "That song guy makes me very unhappy. I don't like him." These words were obviously said to Song Baiching. Who does he think he is? Do I have to cooperate with him when he wants to do something? Do I have to give him what he wants? If he really pisses me off, I'll turn the Thunder Horse Army factory into a toothpaste factory. Outside the door, a sneer appeared on the corner of Song Baiching's mouth. He obviously didn't take Charlotte's threat seriously. Fan Fan raised her head and interrupted, "Mr. Xia, Mr. Song is actually just doing it for work. He has no ill intentions towards you. Please understand him." Charlotte gave Fan Fan a thumbs up. Fan Fan stuck out her tongue and pursed her lip. Then, she continued to work. "Miss Fan, do you know where this Mr. Song came from?" Charlotte said. "Sorry, I don't know." "Then forget it. Just pretend I didn't ask." Outside the door, Song Baiching nodded slightly. He was obviously very satisfied with Fan Fan's performance. Charlotte's voice came from the door again. "1 week, after a week, you guys will leave this place." The end of this sentence was a heavy nasal sound. A contemptuous smile appeared on the corner of Song Baiching's mouth as he left the room. In the room, Fan Fan gave Charlotte a thumbs up and ran to her workbench. Charlotte walked over and lifted her short skirt from behind. Fan Fan pleased him, and he had to please her, and pleasing her was very easy. She was the easiest girl in the world to please and satisfy. An hour later, in the same laboratory, Fan Fan looked at the analysis data together and was dumbfounded. After a long while she said, "Oh my God, his tadpoles can actually kill each other. What a pervert. This way, it's almost impossible for him to get a girl pregnant, but if a girl were to give birth to his child, what kind of monster would that child be?" But there was no answer to this question. These data have to be changed as well. Otherwise, some people might arrange for a bunch of women to be pregnant with Charlotte's children. Fan Fan muttered to herself. When she said this, her cheeks inexplicably turned red. No one knew what she was thinking. At the same time, in the green belt behind the villa, Charlotte quietly withdrew his gaze and turned to leave. Fan Fan even wanted to change such data and cheat for him. He actually had nothing to worry about anymore. The next day, Tang Yuyen came to the Lei Ma Jun factory and found the new workshop where Charlotte worked. Tang Yuyen stuffed a thick file bag into Charlotte's hands. "This is the person you asked me to investigate. Take a look for yourself." "It's done so quickly? You're really amazing," Charlotte said with a smile. Tang Yuyen didn't say anything. She just stared at Charlotte with a pair of big black eyes. Charlotte opened the file bag and took out the things inside to take a look. He was stunned on the spot. The information in the file bag was downloaded and printed from the computer. It was a thick stack, but all the words were covered by thick red lines. Each piece of information had the words, "Top Secret," in bold font. "This," Charlotte said, "what's going on? I want to ask you what's going on." Tang Yuyen stared at Charlotte and said angrily, "I was wondering why you didn't ask Long Bing to help you yesterday, but you found me. It turns out that you want me to poke the hornet's nest." Charlotte smiled. "What do you mean? I don't know this person, so I asked you for help. You are much more capable than Long Bing. If I don't ask you for help, who else can I ask for help with this?" Tang Yuyen curled her lips. "Put on a hat for me. I won't be fooled by you." "Why would I put on a hat for you? You are the eldest daughter of the Tang sect. Who dares to cause trouble for you?" Charlotte said, "Don't you understand? The reason why I asked you for help instead of Long Bing is because no one dares to touch you." Although he said not to put on a hat, Charlotte put an even higher hat on Tang Yuyen. A smile finally appeared on Tang Yuyen's face. "You only know how good I am now? What have you been doing before?" Charlotte said, "I have always known how good you are. Tell me, I have helped you so much. How are you going to compensate me?" Charlotte shook the rough information in his hands and said with a bitter smile, "You have helped me so much. Do you still have the nerve to ask me for compensation?" "Why not? I don't care. You have to treat me to dinner and then watch a movie." "Charlotte, tell me, what trouble have you encountered?" Charlotte didn't say it. Tang Yuyen said, "The person you asked me to investigate, his security level is ridiculously high. In China, there are very few people that we, 101 floors, can't investigate, but this person is one of them. I can't find any information about him, and I think I will be questioned." "Who will question you? Is it Boss Shi?" Tang Yuyen said, "I am not afraid of my godfather scolding me, I am afraid." As soon as she finished speaking, her cell phone rang. She took out her cell phone, glanced at it, and then handed it to Charlotte. Charlotte saw the caller ID on the cell phone, "Godfather." He was just thinking about whether Boren would question Tang Yuyen, and Boren immediately called. It was not difficult to guess that the Zien Bureau already knew that Tang Yuyen had looked at Song Baicheng's file. This caused him to be extremely shocked because his opponent's speed was actually so fast. "Can you put it on speaker?" Charlotte asked tentatively. Tang Yuyen said, "Yes, but you have to treat me to dinner and a movie." Charlotte smiled. "No problem." Tang Yuyen looked at the speaker and then answered the phone. "You girl." Boren's voice came from the speaker of the cell phone. "What are you doing?" Tang Yuyen said, "Godfather, what are you doing?" "I'm on the street." "Is there an urgent task?" "You still want to lie to me?" Boren's voice was full of anger. "Is there no sound on the street? You are with Charlotte, right?" Tang Yuyen looked at Charlotte and didn't know what to say. "Is he with you?" Tang Yuyen motioned for Charlotte to speak, but Charlotte shook his head. Tang Yuyen then said, "Godfather, I am in the bathroom, and Charlotte is with me. What is our relationship?" "Don't talk to me about this. Stop investigating that person immediately. You can't investigate him, and Charlotte can't either." Okay, I got it. I was just curious, so I looked at it, but I didn't see anything. That person's file has been encrypted, and it's all thick lines." Tang Yuyen said, "Don't you know that curiosity killed the cat? That's the end of this matter. I know that Charlotte is with you. Tell him not to mess around. No one can help him in this matter. Sherborne's voice was very strict. I will tell him. Godfather, is there anything else? Tang Yuyen asked. Get back here right now. Sherborne hung up the phone. Tang Yuyen pouted and looked very unhappy. He must have been scolded, otherwise he wouldn't be angry at me. I have to go back. You must fulfill what you promised me. Charlotte smiled and said, Don't worry. I'll call you after I'm busy for a few days. It's a deal. Tang Yuyen left. Charlotte watched Tang Yuyen leave, but his mind was replaying every detail of the phone call between Tang Yuyen and Sherborne. The voice from the phone, including the extremely subtle environment sound, also appeared in his mind. This replaying, he quickly found that when Sherborne was talking to Tang Yuyen, there was a person standing beside Sherborne. Who is that person? Could it be Mr. Z? Charlotte couldn't help but guess. Chapter 633. A week passed in the blink of an eye. During this week, Charlotte had been dealing with Song Baiching. Fan Fan had been secretly helping him. Not only did she cover for him, but she also helped him modify the research report. A week passed, and the deadline given by Song Baiching was up. Early that morning, Song Baiching came to Fan Fan's laboratory. Fan Fan was preparing her research report. When Song Baiching came in, she said, Mr. Song, you came at the right time. I was just about to go to see you. Has the research report come out? Song Baiching asked. Fan Fan said, Yes, Mr. Xia's gene chain data finally came out last night. After that, I stayed up late to write this report. Very good. Let me see the report. Song Baiching couldn't wait to walk over. Fan Fan handed the sorted research report to Song Baiching. Song Baiching flipped through it. At first, he seemed very excited and had a smile on his face, but soon his face became gloomy and the smile disappeared. This is your research report? Song Baiching looked straight at Fan Fan. Fan Fan said, Yes, this is my research report. Mr. Song, is there anything wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with your report. It looks normal. After a pause, Song Baiching said, Miss Fan, are you sure that the subject of this report is Charlotte? Fan Fan said with certainty, Of course, I'm studying Mr. Xia. This report is also a summary of my work this week. But, Song Baiching frowned and wanted to say something but stopped. Fan Fan said, Mr. Song, is there anything wrong with my work and my research report? Or are you questioning my ability to work? Miss Fan, you are the best bioengineer in our country. Of course, I believe in your ability to work. However, the subject of our research is Charlotte. Don't you think he's special? Is Mr. Xia very special? Fan Fan said, He's very smart and strong. He's even the person with the highest IQ I've ever seen. In my report, there's also an IQ test for him. His IQ is as high as 298, which is more than just the highest IQ test ever. If that's what you're referring to, he's really special. In fact, Charlotte's IQ was much higher than that. The data in his research report was a weakened version, but even so, it still surprised Song Baiching. He obviously didn't see the part about Charlotte's IQ test. Mr. Song, we should be glad that the smartest people in the world are in China, not the United States or Japan, Fan Fan said. Is he just smart? Song Baiching was obviously unwilling to accept this fact. In his opinion, not only was Charlotte abnormal, but he also had many secrets. The result given by Fan Fan was very different from what he had imagined. Fan Fan said, Mr. Song, I think you probably don't understand what an IQ of 298 means. 50% of the people in the world have an IQ between 90 and 110, which is a normal level. 2.5% of people can reach 130, and these people are high IQs. Only 0.4% of people can reach 140, and these people are geniuses. My IQ is 139, and I'm only in the range of 2.5%. My grandfather's IQ is higher than mine. His IQ is 148, and he's in the range of 0.4%. But even my grandfather's IQ is only half of Charlotte's. Do you know the smartest genius in history, Leonardo da Vinci? He's recognized as the smartest person in the world, but his IQ is only 230, 60 less than Charlotte. Do you still think I'm just smart if I tell you this? Song Baicheng's eyes flickered, and no one knew what he was thinking. Fan Fan constantly instilled in Song Baicheng the idea that Charlotte was the smartest person in the world, which was actually planned by Charlotte early on. In fact, this was the only way to make the cunning Song Baicheng believe it. Other than that, there was no other way to fool Song Baicheng. After a long silence, Song Baicheng said, "Is this true?" Fan Fan's eyebrows showed a trace of displeasure. "Mr. Song, what do you mean? Would I lie to you? You're probably the first person to question me like this. Since you don't believe in my ability, why did you invite me here? You can find someone else." "I didn't mean that, Miss Fan, it's just that this matter is too important." Fan Fan interrupted Song Baicheng's words. "Mr. Song, I've been in contact with you for such a long time. Although you didn't tell me, I can probably guess your purpose." Song Baicheng's eyes changed. Fan Fan continued, "You probably regard Mr. Xia as an abnormal human being, or even a superhuman like Spider-Man, Superman, or the Flash in Hollywood. But those are movies, not reality. Throughout the 5,000 years of human history, has there ever been a superhuman?" These words were actually taught by Charlotte to Fan Fan. Otherwise, how would she know Song Baicheng's purpose? "I don't believe in superhumans in this world. I asked you to study Charlotte, and my purpose is only for the X-Secret Gold Project. He's the only person who can come into contact with the ancient alloy. We need to figure out why. My work and my report can't give you the answer you want. Miss Fan, I'll ask you one last time, are you sure your research report is accurate?" "I'm sure." "Are you also sure your research process didn't make any mistakes? Or did you miss anything?" "I'm sure." "Okay, your work is done. I'll take your research report with me. Before new instructions come, you can arrange your work and time however you want." Song Baicheng closed the research report. Fan Fan was the best bioengineer in the country. Her work and her report itself had a certain degree of authority, not to mention that it was completed with the help of Fan Yiming, the president of the Academy of Sciences. There was no point in continuing to question her. Only then did Fan Fan let out a sigh of relief. Song Baicheng took the research report that Fan Fan gave him and left the lab. "Mr. Song, what's the result?" Fan Yiming, who was waiting outside the door, asked. Song Baicheng said, "You should ask your granddaughter. She knows better than me." Fan Yiming's face was a little embarrassed after being given the cold shoulder. His lips moved, but he didn't say anything. Song Baicheng entered his room and closed the door. Then, he took out his phone. "Mr. Z, Fan Fan's research report is out." Song Baicheng's tone was slightly heavy. A man's voice came from the phone. "What's the result?" Song Baicheng was silent for a moment before he said, "It's different from what I imagined. Charlotte is very normal." "Very normal?" "His body is very normal, but his IQ is frighteningly high. Fan Fan's test score is 298. She said that he is the smartest person in the world. It is also the highest IQ test score in history." "Are you saying that his achievements today are all because of his IQ?" Song Baicheng said, "Other than this possibility, I can't think of any other possibility. Bring the research report back for me." "Yes, Mr. Z. Be careful, Charlotte had Tang Yuyan investigate you. He has already started to suspect you." "I know, I will be careful." Song Baicheng hung up the phone. After ending the call with Mr. Z, Song Baicheng looked at the file in his hand. He didn't move for a few minutes. He kept talking to himself in his heart. The smartest person in the world? His IQ is higher than great scientists like Leonardo da Vinci and Einstein? An IQ as high as 298, how can this be proven? Humph. Half an hour later, Song Baiching arrived at the new workshop where Charlotte worked. Charlotte opened the door for Song Baiching. Covered in oil, he looked like a blue-collar worker and not the smartest person in the world. Mr. Song, is that Fan's research report? Charlotte saw the file in Song Baiching's hand and was very tempted. Can I see it? Sorry, I can't give it to you. Song Baiching immediately rejected Charlotte and said, but I can tell you that you are normal, it's just what? Your brain is very special. Fan said that your IQ is as high as 298. She said that you are the smartest person in the world. Ha ha. Charlotte laughed. Why don't I feel that way? Song Baiching said lightly, to be honest, I don't believe it either. After all, Fan Yiming, the president of the Academy of Sciences, only has an IQ of 148 and you have 298. You are twice as high as Fan Yiming. Tell me, what are you here for? You don't have to beat around the bush with me. As you can see, I am working. I am very busy, Charlotte said. Song Baiching opened the file and took out a piece of A4 paper and a pen. Then, he handed the paper and pen to Charlotte. The A4 paper was not a blank piece of paper. On it was an extremely complicated mathematical problem. All kinds of numbers, symbols, and formulas took up most of the paper. I want you to calculate this problem, Song Baiching said. This was his purpose. Charlotte glanced at Song Baiching and then took the paper and pen. He could refuse and even ask Song Baiching to get lost, but this was not a wise move. Song Baiching brought this problem here, obviously doubting his IQ and the accuracy of Fan's research report. If he refused, the sly and suspicious Song Baiching would definitely have more doubts. If the ZN Bureau didn't believe Fan's research report, it would definitely be a terrible thing. All the previous acting and doing would be in vain. Let's find a quiet place. Song Baiching said, I asked a mathematician to provide this problem for me. It is said to be very difficult to solve. I can give you some time to solve the problem. No need. Let's just do it here. I am in a hurry. Give me 10 minutes. Charlotte squatted on the ground, laid the paper on the ground, and began to solve the problem. The numbers, symbols, and formulas on the paper entered his brain. His brain also began to work. All the mathematical knowledge he had come into contact with emerged like a tide. Each knowledge point extended infinitely, intersected with each other, and expanded to a higher level. In his brain at this moment, a mathematical world was quietly taking shape. This world started from the most basic mathematics, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and then advanced mathematics. They were like a large net spread into the vast and boundless starry sky. The starry sky continued to extend, and the large net also continued to extend. Chapter 634. No words could describe this process because it was a miracle in itself. However, Song Baiching could not see this miracle. He looked at the motionless Xia Lei and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Mr. Xia, can't you calculate it? It's okay, don't force yourself. After all, this is a difficult math problem. Suddenly, Charlotte looked up at Song Baiching and said, Don't use your IQ to measure me, thank you. You. Song Baiching was furious. Charlotte suddenly picked up a pen and solved the problem quickly. Song Baiching's eyes widened in disbelief. Then, he couldn't help but open his mouth and couldn't close it. This was not only because of Charlotte's speed, but also because of the problem itself. This problem was one of the 7 major mathematics problems in the world, Riemann's hypothesis. This mathematics problem was considered to be the pinnacle of mathematics in the 20th century. It was also one of the world's 7 major mathematics problems by the Clay Mathematics Institute. It was created in 1859, and no one had solved it for more than a century and a half. Its significance and difficulty could be imagined. But now, Xia Lei was solving this unparalleled problem at a speed that was as fast as calculating what 1 plus 1 was equal to. Before coming here, Song Baicheng was still questioning Xia Lei's IQ of 298, but now he felt like a little kid who had just learned how to count in front of Xia Lei. If Charlotte was a towering tree, then he was just a weed under this towering tree. 10 minutes later, Xia Lei handed Song Baicheng the A4 paper that was filled with content on the back. Song Baicheng was still in a trance state. Okay, this problem is a bit difficult, but it's not as difficult as I thought. I solved it, but I don't think you can understand it. Take it and ask the mathematician, let him tell you if I got it right, said Charlotte. Only then did Song Baicheng come back to his senses. He looked at Charlotte with a strange expression. That? Mr. Xia, don't you know the origin of this question? Charlotte rolled his eyes at Song Baicheng. I'm not a mathematician. I'm in the military. I'm good at machining and electrical engineering. Do you think I'm so bored that I'll solve math problems for fun? Song Baicheng's lips moved. He wanted to say something but didn't. Okay, I'm going to work. You may leave. Charlotte turned around and entered the workshop. The door to the workshop closed automatically. Song Baicheng was stunned for a long time before he turned around and left. Now, there was no longer any doubt in his heart. Charlotte wasn't the smartest person in the world. His proof of Riemann's hypothesis was a huge piece of evidence. With this evidence, he could put a perfect end to his errand. A moment later, a Hongqi sedan drove out of the Thunder Horse military factory and headed towards the capital city. Mr. Z, Charlotte, what happened? He solved Riemann's hypothesis. What Riemann's hypothesis? Mr. Z's voice came from the phone. Here's the thing. According to Fanfan's report on Charlotte's IQ, I asked a mathematician to find me a difficult problem. That mathematician found me this Riemann's hypothesis. No one has been able to solve it for nearly 2 centuries, but he only used 10 minutes. Song Baicheng's voice sounded like he was sleepwalking. The phone went silent for a second before Mr. Z said, Are you sure he got it right? 80%. When the mathematician gave me this problem, he also gave me some information about other people solving the problem. There was some information on how to solve the problem. I observed Charlotte's process of solving the problem, and some of the information appeared. Of course, the final result has to be determined by the mathematician. Give me Fanfan's research report and Charlotte's Riemann's hypothesis. I'm on my way, see you later, Mr. Z. Song Baicheng put down the phone. He stepped on the gas pedal, and the car sped on the road. A few hundred meters later, a motorcycle followed from afar. The rider of the motorcycle was Charlotte, who solved Riemann's hypothesis. Song Baicheng left the Thunder Horse Army factory. Where would he go? This was what Charlotte wanted to know. Although he survived this crisis, he knew that this was not the end. As long as the ZN Bureau existed, it would pose a threat to him. He had to know more information about the ZN Bureau. He had to know where the ZN Bureau was and what kind of people were in the ZN Bureau. Only by understanding his opponent could he defeat his opponent. The motorcycle sped on the road. A few hundred meters was an absolutely safe distance. Even if Song Baicheng was more cunning than a fox, and his anti-tracking ability was better than the agents of 101 innings, he wouldn't notice that someone was following him. Not only did Charlotte deliberately keep a few hundred meters away from Song Baicheng, but he also wore a human skin mask on his face. His opponent was not only Song Baicheng, but also the ZN Bureau. He had to be careful. Ring ring ring, ring ring ring, as the motorcycle sped, Charlotte's phone suddenly rang. Who would call at this time? Charlotte took out his phone, looked at it, and then answered the call. Brother Lei, where did you go? It was Fanfan's voice. I have something to do. What's up? Charlotte slowed down the motorcycle. He controlled the direction with one hand and answered the phone with the other. I want to talk to you. I went to the workshop to find you, but you weren't there. We'll talk when I come back. I'm driving, Charlotte said. Okay, then I'll wait for you. Fan hung up the phone. Charlotte put away his phone, but he was thinking, what does she want to talk to me about at this time? Song Baiching was indeed more cunning than a fox. Even if he didn't notice the stalker, he maintained a high degree of vigilance and even used some anti-tracking methods. He drove the car to the east and to the west, making a big circle in the capital city, before finally driving the car into a large compound with machinery. Charlotte stopped his motorcycle 300 meters away. The compound was inconspicuous. There were soldiers with guns standing guard at the gate. Behind the gate was a 3-story office building that looked like it was built in the 50s or 60s. It was very old. The walls were covered with creepers, and it was like a green coat of the office building. The compound wasn't big, but it was filled with plants. The plants were also very old. Many of the trees' crowns were even above the office building, like giant umbrellas on top of the office building. Vines and trees. Even a spy satellite wouldn't be able to capture such a place. Charlotte's gaze moved to the gate. He saw a sign with the words, Jing City Meteorological Monitoring Center. Such a compound with such an unpopular sign, even if the residents passed by it every day, they wouldn't look at it, and no one would go in to ask about the weather in the next few days. If there was a flaw in this place, it would be the soldiers standing at the gate with live ammunition. Is this the mysterious ZN Bureau? Charlotte got out of the car and pushed the motorcycle forward slowly. His gaze was locked on the old office building. As he got closer and closer to the gate, his left eye twitched slightly. The walls of the building quickly melted like snowflakes under the sun, and the space behind the wall came into his sight. There were offices with staff and office equipment. The scene of the staff working seemed very quiet and efficient. The equipment also looked very advanced, not something that ordinary companies or agencies could have. Charlotte started from the 3rd floor, then the 2nd floor, and finally the 1st floor. It only took him 3 minutes to complete the X-ray vision of the entire building. When he was on the 1st floor, his gaze suddenly stopped in an office. At that moment, his head seemed to be hit hard with a wooden hammer. Song Baiching was in that office, standing straight in front of a person. This person was not unfamiliar to Charlotte, and he even had a deep friendship with this person. This person was Ling Hao. Ling Hao's face came into view, and bits and pieces of information about this person also emerged in Charlotte's mind. At first, Ling Hao came into his sight as a special assistant in the first office, and Ling Hao also gave him a lot of help in his struggle with Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. During that period, he regarded Ling Hao as his friend, and even regarded Ling Hao as his brother. But now all of this collapsed. At the beginning, when I began to touch the ancient alloy, my dad warned me that someone had been targeting me. Now it seems that the person my dad was talking about at that time was probably Ling Hao. Charlotte's heart was filled with complicated feelings. In this world, who could believe it? Men didn't care about loyalty because the weight of loyalty was too low. Women didn't care about loyalty because they were not tempted enough. This sentence would make most people feel disgusted and unable to agree, but it was a true portrayal of the real world. However, compared to the damage brought to him by Liang Xiao and Shintu Tianin, this was nothing to Charlotte. Charlotte's eyes were locked on Ling Hao and Song Baiching's lip. He used the lip-reading technique to decipher their conversation while slowly pushing the motorcycle. Mr. Z, this is the research report and the Riemann hypothesis that Charlotte solved, said Song Baiching as he handed the folder to Ling Hao. Ling Hao opened the folder and took out all the things inside. He first looked at Charlotte's Riemann hypothesis. Mr. Z, on the way here, I took a picture of Charlotte's Riemann hypothesis and sent it to the mathematician who helped me. He looked at it and he said, "What did he say?" He said this is a mathematical miracle. Charlotte used the simplest method to solve this mathematical problem that no one has been able to solve for nearly 200 years. He also said that we should announce this matter to the public. This will allow our country's mathematics community to hold their heads high in the world and obtain the highest honor. Short-sighted, tell him to shut up. Song Baicheng said, I've already warned him that he won't say anything without our permission. No wonder he can achieve so much, his IQ is 298. But I don't think it's that simple. What's wrong? Ling Hao looked out the window and muttered to himself. At the same time, at the main entrance, a soldier armed with live ammunition suddenly shouted at Xia Lei, who was pushing his motorcycle and walking slowly, What are you doing? Xia Lei retracted his gaze and smiled apologetically. Bro, I'm sorry. My car suddenly stalled. It's probably because of the spark plug. The soldier said coldly, Stop looking around, get out of here. Okay, I'll go right away, said Charlotte as he sped up. Although he had been scolded by this warrior, he had gained a lot this time. He found the headquarters of the ZN Bureau. He knew who Mr. Z was. Chapter 635. After leaving the ZN Bureau, Charlotte did not stay in Jingdu. He returned to the Thunder Horse military factory. Although he had left that place, Ling Hao's appearance still lingered in his mind. Ring ring, ring ring ring, as he walked to the villa, Charlotte's cell phone suddenly rang. Charlotte thought it was Fan, but when he took out his cell phone and looked at it, it was not. This call was from Ling Hao. Ring ring, ring ring ring. The cell phone rang and he continued to think. Charlotte was still wondering why Ling Hao would call him at this time. After the cell phone rang for about 30 seconds, Charlotte answered the phone. Hello, Brother Ling, what brings you here? Haha. Ling Hao smiled. Why should I be polite to you? Do I have to pick a time to call you? If I want to call you, I'll call you. I'm not afraid of wasting your time. You don't say. I've been really busy these days, Xia Lei said. After a few words of courtesy, Ling Hao said, Charlotte, is the upgrade of the Thunder Horse military factory going well? It's okay. You know I'm good at it. Charlotte said with a smile. I'm going to upgrade all the technology of Raymetal. You'll see the upgraded version of Raymetal soon. Its name is Thunder Horse Military Factory. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see your factory, Wang Yao said. Come on, I'll cook in the evening. Get up early and have a good meal. Let's have a few drinks. Haha. Let's talk about it in 2 days. I have a job to deal with. I actually want to ask you something this time. I don't know if you'd like to tell me. Ling Hao's words had a hidden meaning. Charlotte also laughed twice. Brother Ling, you see, you treat me as an outsider. What can't we talk about? What's the matter? Tell me. As long as I know, I'll tell you. Ling Hao was silent for a moment before he said, Well, I heard that you're in some trouble. Who's causing trouble for you? Tell me, I might be able to help you. If he had not followed Song Baicheng, Charlotte would have been touched by Ling Hao's words. However, when he saw Ling Hao and Song Baicheng together, he knew that Ling Hao's other identity was Mr. Z. Now, hearing Ling Hao's words, he didn't feel good at all. In fact, he felt a little disgusted. However, on the surface, Charlotte still looked very grateful. Thank you, Brother Ling. You've always taken care of me. Thank you very much. Look at you, you're being polite with me again. Don't be so polite. Tell me, who's causing trouble for you? Charlotte was silent for a moment before he said, It's a person called Song Baicheng. I don't know where he came from, but I'm guessing that his background isn't small. Song Baicheng really is a stranger. How do you know he has a powerful background? Charlotte said, Even the Science Institute's Fan Yiming and Elder Fan have to listen to him. How could his background be small? What do you know about this person? Charlotte frowned. I asked Tang Yuyan to help me investigate, but she couldn't find anything. Song Baiching's file was encrypted. Haha, I owe Tang Yuyan a favor because of this. Things didn't work out, and I still have to return the favor. Haha, I was depressed for a few days because of this. Even Tang Yuyan couldn't find anything, so he must have a powerful background. But don't worry about it. Leave it to me, I'll help you investigate. Thank you, Brother Ling. If you can investigate, then do it. If you can't, then forget it. This matter is over, and this person's background isn't that important to me anymore. Charlotte said. And I'll try. That's it, talk to you later. Ling Hao hung up the phone. Charlotte was still holding his phone in a daze. The purpose of Ling Hao's call at this time was obvious. Ling Hao was testing how much he knew about Song Baiching and the ZN Bureau. If I tell him that I know who Song Baiching is, I know where the ZN Bureau is, and I even know that he is Mr. Z. What will he do? Xia Lei couldn't help but speculate. However, even with his super brain, he couldn't guess the outcome of doing so. Of course, he wouldn't be stupid enough to have a showdown with the ZN Bureau and Ling Hao at this time. Ling Hao? Mr. Z? Maybe it's not his real name. Who is he? Charlotte couldn't control his brain to think about these things related to Ling Hao. Fan Fan came from the direction of the villa and called from afar, Mr. Xia. Charlotte came back to his senses, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Then he walked over to Fan Fan. His relationship with Fan Fan still had to be kept secret. The reason was very simple. He and Fan Fan couldn't be public just because Song Baiching left. In this case, the first thing Ling Hao and Song Baiching would do would be to reject the research report given by Fan Fan, and then find a bioengineer to study his body again. Two Special Forces guards standing in front of the villa looked at Fan Fan and Charlotte. They might have received secret orders to secretly monitor Charlotte and Fan Fan, and monitor everything here. Charlotte was also very cautious. He said, Miss Fan, what can I do for you? Well, it's like this. I have a good idea about our research. Let's go to your underground laboratory to talk. Fan Fan's reaction was also very calm and normal. The two Special Forces guards at the door watched Charlotte and Fan Fan enter the villa expressionlessly. One of the Special Forces guards said, What's wrong with a person like Mr. Xia? The Colonel is really something. Let's keep an eye on Mr. Xia. Don't tell me he's going to steal his own things? The other Special Forces guard said, Don't complain. An order is an order. Just carry out the order. Hey, let me tell you something. Yesterday, a girl from the Thunder Horse Army factory asked me for my WeChat number. She looks pretty good. Do you have a picture? Let me see. People have 7 emotions and 6 desires, and Special Forces soldiers are no exception. No one can be a real machine. In the underground laboratory, Charlotte closed the anti-radiation alloy door. The whole underground laboratory suddenly became quiet, and no one or sound could disturb it. Just as he closed the door, Fan Fan suddenly burrowed into his arms and hugged him tightly, trembling in excitement. She had a special physique. Such an action was like a moth flying to a light, but she still did not look back. Charlotte picked her up and walked to the laboratory workbench. I just want to hug you. What do you want to do? Fan Fan looked very nervous. She didn't even stop trembling. Because of her excitement, her skin also began to turn red and quickly spread. Charlotte smiled. I just want to hug you. Otherwise, what do you think I want to do? Fan Fan bit her lip. I changed my mind. Then I also changed my mind. Charlotte put Fan Fan on the stainless steel workbench and gently pushed her legs apart. He gazed into her vast eyes. His eyes were filled with gentleness, sweet affection, and gratitude. He was able to survive this crisis. Without Fan Fan's help, he could not have done it alone. At the beginning, he had conquered her with the purpose of using her. But now, his heart was filled with gratitude. He had never been the kind of person who would burn bridges after crossing the river, so he was willing to give Fan Fan what she wanted. The intimate contact, the gentle gaze of love, these romantic elements were like tentacles touching Fanfan's body, teasing the sensitive nerves all over her body. Before Charlotte could really touch her, she let out a moan and lay down on the cold workbench like soft mud. Her perky chest rose and fell rhythmically like waves. Her snow-white thighs were faintly red. The black miniskirt could no longer hide her secret scenery. There was a wet mark on the area that was wrapped in black lace, quietly exuding a mature and seductive aura. A flame quietly lit up in Charlotte's lower abdomen. This flame made his mouth dry and he couldn't wait any longer. He pushed aside the black mesh cloth and very roughly moved forward. Half an hour later, the two of them quieted down, and the underground laboratory also returned to its previous tranquility. But the air was still filled with the smell of love, unwilling to disperse. In a moment, Fanfan jumped down from the workbench, lifted her black lace, and then handed her phone to Charlotte. "Why did you give me the phone?" Charlotte asked curiously. Fanfan woke up the screen. Charlotte's gaze moved to the screen. It was a photo of a research report. However, the research report on the phone was obviously not the one that Song Baiching had taken away, but the original one that hadn't been edited. As Fanfan's slender fingers moved, Charlotte looked through the photos of the research report. In these photos, every index and data was far beyond that of a normal human, and some even reached the level of heaven-defying. Finally, Fanfan's fingers stopped at a photo. This photo had Charlotte's IQ test data, but it wasn't 298, but 998. This value was almost 3.5 times that of Song Baiching and Ling Hao's knowledge. Charlotte couldn't guess what Fanfan wanted to do. Only then did Fanfan ask, "What are you?" Charlotte was stunned for a moment. Man, what else can I be?" "No, you are." After a pause, Fanfan spat out a word, "God." "Are you kidding?" Charlotte laughed. "The information recorded in your genetic chain proves that you are evolving in the direction of absolute perfection. I have never seen such a perfect body. Your brain, it is even faster and more useful than today's computers. If you are not God, then what are you?" Charlotte was silent. His secret couldn't be hidden from this stunning bioengineer in front of him. Although he tried to weaken his own body's reaction when cooperating with her in the research, the result didn't change. Also, even your sperm, they also have the ability to go against the natural order. They contain the genetic blueprint that you engraved, but because they are all very powerful, they began to kill each other the moment they left your body. It is almost impossible for you to make a woman pregnant. This is simply... I can't describe it. Fanfan, can you keep this secret for me? Charlotte faced reality. Yes, but I have a condition. Fanfan blinked her big eyes, and a sly smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. What condition? Give me a child. I want to be pregnant with your child. I can't imagine how smart and powerful your child is, but I know that he must be a unique genius. I promise you. Charlotte smiled bitterly. But, since you know this situation, I don't know if I can make you pregnant. Have you forgotten what I do? I am a bioengineer. I will find a way to make me pregnant. I have decided I will now start my new research project. Little Lele Project. Charlotte. Fanfan stared at Charlotte affectionately, and her soft lilac tongue slipped out of the corner of her mouth. She gently pursed it and then said, "Have you rested enough? I'm going to sample." Charlotte. Chapter 636. Song Baiching left and the trouble disappeared. Everything made way for the comprehensive upgrade of the Thunder Horse military factory. In the following time, Charlotte put all his energy into work. Tanks, artillery and defense systems, as well as the second generation of Thunder Dragon smart machine tool, these were all money-burning projects. Rema Group invested all the accumulated funds in the early stage, but the gap was still very large. Guan Lingshan calculated for Charlotte. Russia and Ukraine imported equipment, as well as recruiting related technical personnel, the funding gap reached 20 billion. This amount of money could almost buy 2 Rema Group. The bank agreed to give a loan of 3 billion. In Charlotte's office, Guan Lingshan said to Charlotte, 3 billion. Charlotte frowned. How is that enough? Of course it's not enough. I've spoken to several bank executives. I also talked to them about the prospects of our company and future earnings, but they said that a loan of 20 billion was too much and they couldn't approve it, Guan Lingshan said. Xia Lei furrowed his brows. An investment of tens of billions was indeed a huge investment, and it carried a lot of risk. But that was for other investments. For Rema Group, the risk of this investment was almost zero. It wasn't that the bank heads didn't know this, but why didn't they approve the loan? Chairman Xia, why don't we find a foreign bank? Guan Lingshan said, or a venture capital company is fine. Charlotte thought for a moment. I'm afraid this isn't a problem that can be solved by finding a foreign bank or splitting candy. I'll make a trip myself. If it doesn't work, I'll think of another way. Okay, but Chairman Xia, we don't have much time. The relevant companies in Ukraine and Russia are urging us to pay the remaining amount. They said that if we don't pay them on time, they will detain the equipment at the port and their staff in China will stop working. Charlotte sneered. These Russians are really realistic. And I know. Tell them that Rema Group won't owe them a penny. The project can't stop, do what needs to be done. Chairman Xia, Guan Lingshan hesitated for a moment before saying, Chairman Xia, why don't we find sister-in-law? Charlotte was stunned for a moment. Oh, just pretend that I didn't say anything. I'm sorry, Chairman Xia, Guan Lingshan said timidly. Charlotte smiled. Why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything wrong. I know you also want to help me solve the problem, but you know that she and I are divorced. Even if my relationship with her is good, I can't ask her to borrow 20 billion yuan, right? What's more, even the Wanxiang Group doesn't have 20 billion in cash. Even if there was, Charlotte would not borrow it. Guan Lingshan said awkwardly, I understand. I won't call her sister-in-law anymore. Charlotte said, Go to work. After the divorce, she was no longer his sister-in-law. There would always be such helplessness in life, and there would always be those who couldn't be held back. He had already let it go, so he would not walk the path of turning back. As soon as Guan Lingshan left, Charlotte received a call. It was Tang Yuyan's father, Tang Tianlong, who called. Charlotte, I'm Tang Tianlong, your Uncle Tang. Tang Tianlong smiled and was very friendly. Are you surprised to receive my call? Charlotte smiled. It turns out to be Uncle Tang. I can't be more than happy to receive your call. How can I be surprised? He had a problem with the loan and Tang Tianlong called him. How could this be an accident? What are you busy with? Charlotte said, There's a problem with the loan. I'm dealing with it. Is it difficult? I need to borrow a lot of money, so it will be a little troublesome, but I think it should be solved, said Charlotte. Tang Tianlong said, If you need my help, just tell me. Don't be polite with your Uncle Tang. Okay, then I'll thank you first. But I don't need it for the time being. If I need it, I'll ask Uncle Tang. That's right. Uncle Tang, what's the matter? Charlotte probed, I'm here. Just tell me, no need to be polite with me. Tang Tianlong said, It's like this. It's my grandfather's 70th birthday. I want to invite you for a drink. That's a good thing. When? Tomorrow, at the Sheraton Hotel. Okay, I'll definitely come tomorrow, said Charlotte. Come early. Tomorrow we'll have a good chat and drink a few cups. That's all. You do what you need to do. I still have to continue calling for my treat. Tang Tianlong hung up the phone. Charlotte sat in front of his office desk in a daze. Grandfather Tang's 70th birthday, why did it have to be at this time? Moreover, under normal circumstances, it should be a few days in advance. It's tomorrow's birthday banquet. Why did he only come today? Fan Yiming appeared at the office door. He was holding a box in his hand. Charlotte's left eye slightly twitched. He saw what was inside the box. Inside the box was the compass from the Ming dynasty. Even though he knew what was inside the box, he pretended not to know. Elder Fan, what's inside the box? The compass. Fan Yiming was very straightforward. He carefully placed the box on Charlotte's desk. Xia Lei opened the box, and the compass was revealed from within. Fan Yiming did not install the last pointer. It was placed next to the compass. Elder Fan, what is the meaning of this? I've been here for a month. I've been studying it every day, but I don't have a single clue. These 2 days I've thought about it a lot. I've thought it through and decided to give it to you. Fan Yiming said, you study it. You find the last hidden treasure. You are much more reliable than me in this matter. Elder Fan, is this your idea, or… Charlotte did not finish his sentence. Mr. Xia, are you talking about Song Baiqing? Do you think this is Song Baiqing's idea? Charlotte did not say yes or no. Fan Yiming was a little angry. Mr. Xia, I know what happened last time made you feel uncomfortable. But it wasn't because of me. What happened last time had nothing to do with me. I'm a researcher. I hate politics more than you do. But sometimes we can't avoid it. Charlotte laughed. Elder Fan, don't be angry. I didn't mean it that way. There's no order from the leader. This is my idea. If you don't want it, I'll take it back. Fan Yiming was still a little angry. Charlotte quickly said, I'll take it. Elder Fan, don't be angry. You, me, and Fan, the three of us are members of the X-Secret Gold Project. Everything we do is for this project. Fan Yiming calmed down. Then do you have a plan? Charlotte thought for a while and said, no. But after the Thunder Horse military factory is done, I'll have the time and energy to do this. It won't take long. At most, it'll take another 2 months. Okay, I'll go back to the Academy of Science. Let me know when you're done and I'll come back. Fan will also go back with me. She has nothing to do here. Fan Yiming said. I'm not going back. Just as Fan Yiming finished speaking, Fan walked in from the door. She was wearing a white round neck t-shirt and light blue denim shorts. She looked young and cute, sexy and enchanting. You're not going back? Why are you staying here? Fan Yiming stared at Fan with a confused look. Fan said, Mr. Xia is the only person who can touch the ancient alloy. I've been studying his brainwaves. I suspect that his brainwaves are compatible with the energy field of the ancient alloy. So I need to collect more of Mr. Xia's brainwaves. Maybe I can solve this mystery. Fan Yiming was stunned for a while before saying, That's possible. Why didn't I think of it before? Charlotte's eyes couldn't help but move to Fan. The hypothesis she mentioned also piqued his interest. Indeed, in this world, only he could touch the ancient alloy. There must be a reason for this. And this reason was definitely not because he fixed the Ming dynasty's compass. As for the treasure recognizing its master, that was a cliché plot in wuxia or fantasy novels. The possibility of this happening was almost zero. So, excluding the former and the latter, Fan's hypothesis was very likely to be true. Fan, if your hypothesis is true, what will it bring? We can artificially create a bioelectric magnetic field with a specific frequency. In other words, in this bioelectric magnetic field, every one of us can touch the ancient alloy. We can even use the bioelectric waves to study the ancient alloy and crack its secret. Fan said. Before Fan explained this point, Charlotte thought she wanted to find an excuse to stay by his side and continue her little Lele plan. He didn't think that she was serious. In reality, Fan's hypothesis was only a hypothesis, but he already believed that this hypothesis had a high probability of being true. Not because of anything else, but because Princess Yong Mei was a pure energy body. Her communication with him had always been through brain waves. In this world, only he could see Princess Yong Mei and only he Here, her voice. Haha. No wonder you're our family's Fan. Fan Yiming was excited. All this time, I've only studied the ancient alloy from the perspective of materials science. I never thought that I would study it from the perspective of bioelectric waves. Your hypothesis is very good. I agree. You can stay. But you have to send me an email every day. I want to understand your research process. Okay, grandfather. Fan revealed a smile. You guys chat, I have to go back. Tomorrow is Tang Tianlong's 70th birthday. I have to prepare a gift for him. Fan Yiming said. Elder Fan, you also want to go tomorrow? I don't want to go, but Tang Tianlong personally called me. I have to give him face. Okay, I'm leaving. Fan Yiming said as he left. When he reached the door, he turned around and said to Fan, remember, send me an email every day. Fan curled her lips. I know. I'm not a child. You don't need to remind me like this. Hee. Fan Yiming laughed and left. Until Fan Yiming disappeared from his sight, Charlotte said, Fan, how did you come up with this hypothesis? It's not a coincidence. You know, I've been studying your… What? Fan felt dizzy. It's your tadpoles. I discovered that their bodies carry a very special thing. Every time I want to extract it, they disappear. I suspect that it's some kind of energy. Today's technology is unable to capture it. So I thought, could it be that your brain's brainwaves resonated with the ancient alloy? That's why you can safely come into contact with the ancient alloy? Charlotte was silent for a moment. How do you plan to study it? Fan looked at the resting room and said with a red face, Let's go to the resting room. I'll give you a sample. Give me a sample? Humph, I want to catch tadpoles. Charlotte. Chapter 637. Fan's hypothesis ushered in a glimmer of hope for Project X Mystic Gold. Charlotte did not object to Fan's research on his brain and bioelectric waves, because he wanted to crack the secret of ancient alloy and more than anyone else. Moreover, the person who was researching him was Fan, his woman. If there were any problems during the process, Fan would modify the data for him and change the results, which would not cause him any trouble. However, this was a hypothesis after all. Even if the research was conducted, it would not be able to produce results in a day or two. The next day, Charlotte put down all his work and drove to the capital. He first went to an antique shop and spent 50,000 yuan to buy a string of authentic Buddhist beads for Tang Yunhai. Then he went to the Sheraton Hotel. People who practiced martial arts liked things like Buddhist beads, and his gift of 50,000 yuan for a string of Buddhist beads was acceptable. On the way, he received a call from Tang Yuyan, and they chatted for a while. When he arrived at the Sheraton Hotel, Tang Yuyan was already waiting for him in the lobby. The navy blue Chong Sam outlined a nearly perfect S-shaped curve, with a voluptuous front and a curvy back. The black embroidered cloth high-heeled shoes and black stockings made a pair of beautiful legs look exquisite and sexy. Tang Yuyan's sexiness had a classical and aristocratic aura, which was different from the rest. However, Charlotte walked over, and under her classical, noble, and sexy appearance hid the heart of a fox. Tang Yuyan greeted him with a charming fragrance, and a sweet smile on her jade-like face. You came to celebrate my birthday, why did you buy me a gift? You could have come empty-handed. Charlotte smiled. It's old Master Tang's 70th birthday. If I came empty-handed, I would be too inconsiderate. Tang Yuyan took the brocade box containing the Buddhist beads, opened it, and smiled sweetly. Wow, it's so beautiful. You spent 50,000 yuan on Buddhist beads for my grandpa, and he must be imagining things again. Imagination? Charlotte was puzzled. What? Tang Yuyan held Charlotte's arm. He must be wondering if you're here to kidnap his precious granddaughter. Charlotte, did this guy even need to be abducted? As long as she didn't kidnap him. He and Shintu Tianyin were divorced. From the perspective of a marriage between Tang Yuyan and a career match, It was actually the best choice for him and Tang Yuyan. Of course, Tang Yuyan thought so as well. Even the members of the Tang family thought so. However, his heart was already wrapped in a thick protective shell. No matter which woman wanted to marry him, they would have to break that shell first, and that was a very difficult thing to do. Charlotte himself couldn't feel this layer of shell. Before the birthday banquet started, Tang Yuyan brought Charlotte to the tea house of the hotel. The whole tea house had been booked, and the people drinking tea inside were all guests who came to celebrate Tang Yunhai's birthday. Some of those guests were political figures, and some were business figures. None of them were simple people. Charlotte greeted several familiar faces from the equipment department and chatted for a while. Tang Tianlong was naturally among them. When he saw his daughter holding Charlotte's hand intimately, like a couple, he couldn't help smiling. Such a reaction was normal. With Charlotte's current qualifications, whether it was his career or his own qualifications, he could almost conquer the parents of all girls in the world. Yu Yen, take Lazy to see the old master. The old master kept saying that he wanted to see Lazy last night, and I was annoyed by him. Tang Tianlong said with a smile. This was obviously said to Charlotte, to tell him how much the master of the Tang family liked him. Charlotte just smiled and followed Tang Yuyan to a private room. At this moment, the sound of chatting came from the door. Charlotte looked back and saw Ling Hao and a few people from the military entering the tea house. He was also familiar with those military figures. Back when he was fighting against Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan, those military figures had helped him to a certain extent. Then, Charlotte saw Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. What are those two guys doing here? Actually, he was more concerned about Mu Jianfeng, Yi Kuan, and Ling Hao coming to celebrate Tang Yunhai's birthday. When he was fighting with Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan, Ling Hao was on his side and had helped him a lot. Now, these three were walking together. What was going on? Ling Hao also looked over, and when his eyes met with Charlotte's, he smiled at Charlotte. Charlotte also smiled, and called out to Ling Hao from afar, "Brother Ling, I'm going to see old Master Tang first. I'll talk to you later." Ling Hao smiled, go on. When Charlotte turned around, the smile on his face disappeared. Tang Yuyan nudged Charlotte's waist with her elbow and said softly, "I heard that there's a problem with your loan, is that right?" Charlotte was slightly stunned. "How did you know?" "Last night, when I passed by my dad's study, he was on the phone, and I heard a little," Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte suddenly frowned, not because of anything else, but because in terms of time, Tang Yuyan actually knew that there was a problem with Rema Group's loan before him. "What did your dad say?" Tang Yuyan looked a little nervous. "Don't misunderstand, this has nothing to do with my dad. He is from the equipment department, but his position is not as high as you think." Charlotte smiled. "I didn't misunderstand, I was just asking. If it's not convenient for you to tell me, then forget it." Tang Yuyan suddenly reached out to pinch Charlotte's waist, and gave him a charming look. "If I didn't want to tell you, why would I mention this to you? I only heard my dad's voice, and I don't know who called him. But according to what my dad said, I guess someone is deliberately making things difficult for you, and refusing to give you the loan." "Why?" "I don't know. My dad tried to plead for you, but to no avail," Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte's mood had become terrible. Tang Yunhai's voice came from the private room. "What are you two whispering about outside? Come in." Tang Yuyan led Charlotte into the private room. In the private room, Tang Yunhai was sitting at the tea table by the window, sipping tea. Tang Yuyan's mother, Zhang Yumei, was making tea for Tang Yunhai. Upon seeing Charlotte come in, she said with a smile, "Lazy, come and have a seat. Have a taste of my tea art." "Thank you, Auntie," said Charlotte very politely. "You brat, you haven't come to see me for such a long time. Is my Tang family's threshold that high?" Tang Yunhai glared at Charlotte. He was obviously angry, but his eyes were full of happiness. Charlotte said with a smile, Grandpa Tang, I've been wanting to see you for a long time, but I've been too busy with work. Oh, that's right, I've prepared a string of South Sea Wangwali for you. I don't know if you like it or not. Tang Yuyan then handed the brocade box containing the South Sea Wangwali Buddhist beads to Tang Yunhai, and said with a crisp voice, Grandpa, I've seen it. The Buddhist beads Leicester prepared for you are very beautiful. The tiger skin has a pattern of eyes and the oil is good. It's obviously an old material. What do you know? Go to the side. Tang Yunhai glared at Tang Yuyan again. Girls are extroverted. You're already speaking up for this brat? Grandpa. Tang Yuyan acted like a spoiled child. Tang Yunhai picked up the Buddhist beads Charlotte gave him, fiddled with it for a moment, and then wore it on his wrist. At that moment, he suddenly stood up from the chair and punched Charlotte's chest. Charlotte's reaction was almost synchronized, without the slightest delay. When Tang Yunhai punched, his hand also moved. In just a flash, he cut the inside of Tang Yunhai's arm, and then hit Tang Yunhai's wrist with the outside of his wrist. The short bridge of Wing Chun fist was the simplest move, but as long as it was used well, even the old patriarch of the Tang family wouldn't be able to hit him. Bam, 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 the two men's fists and feet clashed, and muffled sounds echoed in the tea room. The two men's movements were very fast, but the range of their movements was only within the range of 2 or 3 steps. The fighting scene was very exciting. A minute later, Tang Yunhai took the initiative to retreat and ended the fight with Charlotte. He then laughed and said, Well, you're more powerful than before, kid. Wing Chun fist is really powerful. Grandpa Tang, if we continue to fight, I'll lose to you, said Charlotte. Tang Yunhai glared at Charlotte. Don't flatter me, kid. I'm old and I can't beat you. If I were 30 years younger, I'd believe you if you said that. But I'm 70 years old, and I'm out of breath when I move. How could I be your opponent? If we continue to fight, I'll have to go to the hospital for oxygen. Zhang Yumei looked worried. You two fight as soon as you see each other. If you're always together in the future, won't you tear the house down? Really? Hee. Tang Yunhai just laughed. Tang Yuyan looked at Charlotte out of the corner of her eye. Zhang Yumei's words contained a hint, and it was a very obvious hint. How could Charlotte not hear the truth? The 3 people of the Tang family in the room had the same idea, which made him very embarrassed. He couldn't help but think, was this a birthday party or a blind date? However, the Tang family was a famous family with hundreds of years of history. It had its own history and face. Such a hint was already the limit. Even if the Tang family liked Charlotte, they wouldn't force Tang Yuyan to sleep with Charlotte. At this time, Tang Tianlong came in and said, Lei, someone wants to see you. Come with me. Who wants to see me? Charlotte asked casually. Tang Tianlong's expression was a bit strange. My leader, Yu Shanhe. This was the first time that Charlotte had heard this name, but he could easily guess the identity of this person. Tang Tianlong called this person leader, which in itself was an obvious introduction. He even guessed that the phone call that Tang Yuyan heard last night might be this Yu Shanhe to Tang Tianlong. Tang Yunhai didn't know why, but he sighed softly. Charlotte secretly said in his heart, Grandfather Tang sighed. Did he already know? I'm the last to know. What a joke. Do you want me to go with you? Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte put away his thoughts and smiled. No, Uncle Tang, I'll go with you. After Tang Yunhai left the private room with Charlotte, Tang Yuyan said, Grandpa, why don't you help Lei? If you come forward, those people will have to give you some face. Do you really want to marry that kid? Tang Yunhai said. Grandpa. Tang Yuyan said angrily, I'm talking business with you. I know you're talking business. Tang Yunhai sighed. I've already retired. Who will give face to a retired old man? Besides, the thing in Charlotte's hand is too tempting. Everyone wants to have a piece of it. It's really not easy for him to achieve what he has today from scratch. But he's just one person after all. If he's smart, he should enter the Tang family. In that case, he wouldn't be the only one fighting against them. Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Tang Yunhai. What you said is useless. He and Shintu Tianyin just got divorced. He needs some time. Tang Yunhai said, I know what you want to say, but I want to tell you that the Tang family is the Tang family. The rules that have been in place for hundreds of years can't be broken. The Tang family also has its face. For hundreds of years, when did the Tang family's women ever throw themselves at someone? Tang Yuyan's head suddenly drooped. Chapter 638. Tang Tianlong brought Charlotte to the innermost private room of the tea-house. Charlotte saw Ling Hao, Yi Kun, Mu Jianfeng, a few military people, and a stranger. The man was in his early 50s, with fair skin and well-maintained skin. There was a superior temperament between his eyebrows, giving people the feeling that he was not an ordinary person. This was probably the so-called temperament of a leader. Although no one had introduced him, Charlotte had already guessed the identity of this person. He should be Yu Shanhe. Charlotte, come here, let me introduce you. Ling Hao stood up. Charlotte smiled. I am familiar with all the leaders except this one. He looked at Yu Shanhe and said politely, May I know who this leader is? Without waiting for Ling Hao's introduction, Yu Shanhe stood up with a smile on his face. My surname is Yu, first name Shanhe. He extended a hand to Charlotte. Mr. Xia, nice to meet you. Charlotte reached out with both hands and shook Yu Shanhe's hand. Hello, Mr. Yu, nice to meet you too. Logically, Charlotte should have called him Chief Yu or something, but knowing that the other party did not come with good intentions, there was no need for him to be polite to Yu Shanhe. Mr. Xia, I will give you 4 words. Charlotte smiled. What? A dragon among men. Yu Shanhe said. Mr. Yu really knows how to joke. Charlotte said with a smile. I will also give you 4 words. Yu Shanhe's eyebrows raised slightly. What is it? Xia Lei said. He's deeply hidden. As soon as this sentence was said, all eyes in the room shifted to Charlotte. They obviously knew Yu Shanhe's identity, and Charlotte's words to Yu Shanhe was almost like a slap in the face to Yu Shanhe. Because in terms of identity, Yu Shanhe gave Charlotte 4 words, which meant that he thought highly of Charlotte. In turn, Charlotte gave Yu Shanhe these 4 words. With his status, he was not qualified to write it. It was an arrogant act. More importantly, the 4 words that Charlotte gave to Yu Shanhe were unfathomable. Whether it was a compliment or a derogatory remark, the results would be different from different perspectives. Mr. Xia, what do you mean by that? Yu Shanhe was a little displeased. Charlotte smiled. Mr. Yu, I didn't mean anything by it. This means that Mr. Yu is a very powerful person. Charlotte was not a fool. On the contrary, he was a person with an IQ of 998. The Thunder Horse Army factory couldn't get a loan, so Yu Shanhe appeared. Not only Yu Shanhe, but Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun also came. Could this be a coincidence? He had long seen that Yu Shanhe had come to take advantage of his Thunder Horse military factory. This was not the first time such a thing had happened. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun had done this before. At that time, he only had the XL 2500 sniper rifle in his hand. Now, he had more than that in his hands. The Gale Assault Rifle, the second generation of the Thunder Dragon intelligent machine tool, and even the tanks, cannons, defense systems, and other technologies from Rainmetal. Now that the Thunder Horse Army factory was undergoing a comprehensive upgrade, it was equivalent to moving the upgraded version of Rainmetal from Germany over. Then, the cake in his hands was enough to move anyone's heart. In addition, if the Thunder Horse Army factory completed this upgrade, its production capacity and other products that could be manufactured in the future would be a threat to Hanwoo Weapons Company and the Shenzhou Industrial Group. Could these 2 military giants, as well as the stakeholders standing behind them, sit back and watch such a thing happen? Could they not take action? Now these people were here. However, Charlotte could not understand why Ling Hao was involved. He was involved in this matter because he represented the ZN Bureau. The atmosphere became awkward and strange. Ha ha! Ling Hao chuckled. Sit, sit. Everyone, sit. Are you guys going to stand and talk until old Master Tang's birthday banquet begins? Yushanha seemed to be giving Ling Hao face and no longer cared about the 4 words that Charlotte gave him. Charlotte also sat down. Ling Hao brought a cup of tea to Charlotte. The cup of tea had been brewed early in the morning and was specially prepared for Charlotte. Thank you, Brother Ling. Charlotte was very polite. Ling Hao patted Charlotte on the shoulder. Why are you being so polite with me? Charlotte just smiled and did not say anything. Ever since he knew that Ling Hao was Mr. Z, he had a little grudge against him and was also a little more guarded. Charlotte sat down. Before he took 2 sips of tea, Yushanha glanced at Mu Jianfeng. Mu Jianfeng then glanced at Yi Kuan. Yi Kuan cleared his throat, then looked at Xia Lei. Mr. Xia, the Thunder Horse Military Factory has been making a lot of moves recently. You're the leader in the field of light weapons, and now you've extended your hand into the field of heavy weapons and heavy equipment. You really have a big appetite. Charlotte smiled and said lightly, just say what you want to say. Don't beat around the bush. Mr. Xia, just say it. Yi Kuan looked at Yushanha from the corner of his eyes as he spoke. Our Hanwu Weapons Company has been providing parts for the production of Gale assault rifles for Thunder Horse Military Factory, but during this time we have not received the payment that Thunder Horse Military Factory should have paid us. When do you think this matter will be resolved? Mu Jianfeng also interrupted and said, Mr. Xia, there is still the payment receivable of our Shenzhou Industry Group. Charlotte said lightly, so you are here to ask for money. Do you think that Thunder Horse Military Factory has reached the point where it can't even pay its suppliers? The Thunder Horse Military Factory's XL 2500 sniper rifle and Gale assault rifle are best-selling all over the world. Many countries can't buy them even if they want to. How can it get to the point where it can't even pay its suppliers? This was just an excuse before Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan talked about it. Charlotte could also see that this Yushanha was the host, or rather the mastermind behind the scenes, but he would not personally negotiate with him. The people who came to negotiate with him were Yi Kuan, who represented Hanwu Weapons Company, and Mu Jianfeng, who represented Shenzhou Industry Group. The mouthpiece of this interest group, the spokesperson. Sometimes he might also be the scapegoat. Mr. Xia, your words are inappropriate. Mu Jianfeng continued Yi Kuan's words. Everyone is doing this for the construction of national defense. Shenzhou Industry Group, Hanwu Weapons Company, and Thunder Horse Military Factory can be said to be brothers. Now that Thunder Horse Military Factory has some problems with its funds, how can we ask you for money? Didn't Mr. Yi just ask me how to solve it? Charlotte said. Yi Kuan said, Mr. Xia, I didn't ask you for money, I just brought it up. Our 3 companies are brothers. Now that the Thunder Horse Military Factory is in trouble, you are too embarrassed to bring it up. I will bring it up for you, and then everyone will think of a way to help you solve the problem. That was beautiful. Xia Lei chuckled. Yes, you're right. My Thunder Horse Military Factory is currently in a critical period of upgrading, but the bank is not giving loans. This is the trouble you are talking about, right? Yi Kuan and Yushanha looked at Yushanha at the same time. Ahem. Yushanha coughed. Mr. Xia, since your 3 companies are brothers, and you have spoken to this extent, I will say a few words on behalf of my personal position. Mr. Yu, please speak. Charlotte was polite. Yushanha said, At present, our country's military enterprises are suppressed by the Western military enterprises. Although we also have a certain amount of exports, most of them are light weapons that the West looks down on. This situation has to be changed, Mr. Xia. What do you think? How to change? Charlotte looked at Yushanha and asked. I speak on behalf of my personal position. Yu Shanhe reiterated this point. I suggest that your 3 companies be integrated together, and then you will be the chairman of the group. Mr. Xia, what do you think of my proposal? 3 companies integrated into one company? It had to be said that Yu Shanhe's proposal surprised Charlotte. Yes, the integration of the 3 companies into one will not only improve the international competitiveness of your 3 companies, but also save costs and increase efficiency. Yu Shanhe looked at Ling Hao again and said with a smile, Mr. Ling, what do you think of my proposal? Ling Hao nodded. If the 3 companies are integrated, I think Charlotte is the most suitable candidate for the position of chairman. His ability is obvious to all. Moreover, even if the 3 companies are integrated, the Thunder Horse military factory must be the main one. This was Ling Hao's attitude. He agreed to the integration of the 3 companies into one company. His words revealed the meaning of protecting the interests of Charlotte, and he did not seem to shy away from telling the people in the room that he was on Charlotte's side. I know that Mr. Ling will agree with my proposal. This is a great thing to revitalize our military industry. Yu Shanhe looked at Charlotte with a smile. Mr. Xia, what do you think? Charlotte did not say anything, as if he was thinking about the problem. Before Charlotte spoke, Yi Kuan said, How can this be? In terms of qualifications, Old Mu is the most suitable candidate for the position of chairman. It is undeniable that Mr. Xia is very capable, but I don't think it is appropriate to let him be the chairman. Kuan. Mu Jianfeng said aloud, Don't say any more. It is a new era. Qualifications are not important. Ability is the most important. After the integration of the 3 companies, our goal is to become one of the world's top military giant. We want the world to be impressed by our military industry in China. Well said, Old Mu is Old Mu. Yi Kuan said, As far as I am concerned, I hope that you, Old Mu, will be the chairman. However, Elder Mu, after what you said, I also think that the position of chairman should be given to the capable. Mr. Xia is the top mechanic and electrical engineer in our country, and he even created the Lima Group from scratch. His talent in business management is even more impressive. Therefore, I, Yi Kuan, also approve of him taking the position of chairman. Although Charlotte will be the chairman, I, Mu Jianfeng, still have to make a stand here. I will do my best to help Charlotte solve the current financial problems encountered by the Thunder Horse military factory. Elder Mu is really of noble character and unquestionable integrity, Yu Shanhe praised. Everyone in the room smiled. Of course, Charlotte was the only one who did not smile. Chapter 639. Some of the people in the room played the good cop, and some played the bad cop. They put on a good show in front of him. Their purpose was also obvious, that was, his Thunder Horse military factory. The 3 companies would be integrated and he would be the chairman. It seemed that he had become the chairman, and the Thunder Horse military factory had also become bigger, even realizing his dream of becoming a world-class military giant. But in reality? He got a false reputation, but he lost the Thunder Horse military factory. The Thunder Horse military factory would also change from a private enterprise to a state-owned one. These people, to put it bluntly, did not want to see private enterprises take away the market of state-owned enterprises. In fact, with the current development trend of the Thunder Horse military factory, it was only a matter of time before it ate up the market of Hanwu Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group. It was only a matter of time before it became an international top military enterprise. What these people were doing was like buying Jobs' Apple when Jobs had already built Apple and made a big entry into the mobile phone market. Would Jobs be willing? Jobs was not a fool, and neither was Chablos. Even if his IQ of 998 was divided by 10, he would not be willing. Yu Shanhe said again, Mr. Xia, you see, old Mu is willing to step down and make a contribution to the strengthening of our military industry. How about you be the chairman of this new company? As long as you agree, you can get greater support, more room for development, and realize your ambitions. The people in the room looked at Charlotte, waiting for his statement. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan had a faint smile on their lip. The two military giants seemed to think that Charlotte would agree, because the people who came forward to talk this time were Yu Shanhe and Ling Hao. Of these two people, Yu Shanhe would bring great pressure to Charlotte, and Ling Hao would bring confidence to Charlotte because he was Charlotte's friend. Last time, when Hanwu Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group joined forces to suppress the Thunder Horse military factory, Ling Hao stood on Charlotte's side and helped Charlotte a lot. However, Xia Lei's answer made everyone's jaws drop. No, Charlotte said. This was Charlotte's answer. It was only one word, but it was this word that gave everyone in the room a slap in the face. The one who suffered the most from Charlotte's slap was undoubtedly Yu Shanhe. Maybe Ling Hao was there as well. Yu Shanhe's face suddenly darkened. He looked down coldly and said nothing. A trace of displeasure flashed across Ling Hao's eyes, but it disappeared quickly. He said, "Charlotte, what's the matter with you? The integration of the three companies into one company will undoubtedly increase the competitiveness of the new company. Moreover, you will be the chairman. Isn't this a good thing? Why did you refuse?" Charlotte said indifferently, "I'm used to being free and undisciplined. I don't like being restricted by others. If the three companies merge into one company, they won't be able to control those local tyrants who get high salaries but don't do anything." Yi Kuan was instantly unhappy. "Charlotte, what do you mean? I didn't offend you today. If you want to criticize me, please say it clearly." Charlotte said, "I don't have the guts to criticize you, Chairman Yi. Please don't take it personally." "Am I the one taking it personally?" Yi Kuan spread his hands. "Everyone, please be the judge. Am I the one taking it personally?" No one spoke, but everyone knew very well that the local tyrants who got high salaries but didn't do anything was actually Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. In Shenzhou Industrial Group and Hanwu Weapons Company, there were many people who got high salaries but didn't do anything. However, those people could only be regarded as country bumpkins, not local tyrants. "Charlotte!" Mu Jianfeng suddenly became furious. He slammed the tea table, then pointed at Charlotte's nose and shouted, "Don't think that you can do whatever you want because you have some achievements. You can be arrogant." Charlotte sneered. "You can do whatever you want just because you don't agree with the integration? Is this what you call being arrogant?" All the people in the room were speechless. Yes, the Thunder Horse Army factory belonged to Charlotte. If he didn't agree with the integration, he would be arrogant and do whatever he wanted. Wasn't this a little too overbearing? The atmosphere in the room became awkward. Ling Hao was silent for a long time before he said, "Charlotte, you have to understand that they are not making things difficult for you, nor do they want to take away your Thunder Horse Army factory. They really want to do a great thing for our country's military industry. I know you are a very patriotic person. Don't you want to do this?" Charlotte said, "Brother Ling, I have made it very clear that the Thunder Horse Army factory will not be integrated with Hanwu Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group. I am patriotic, and I am proud of it. However, patriotism has nothing to do with this matter, and it can't be used to measure my patriotism." Ling Hao frowned slightly. "Xia Lei, what you're saying," Charlotte interrupted Ling Hao. "Also, not all companies can be integrated together. Hanwu Weapon Company and Shenzhou Industry Group are both state-owned enterprises, and they are large military enterprises. The people in them all have official positions and military rank. I'm just a commoner. How can I manage those people? I can't even manage those people, let alone Chairman Mu and Chairman Yi." Mu Jianfeng said in a cold voice, "Charlotte? Are you saying that I'm a person who is jealous of the talented? In your eyes, am I so weak?" Humph. Charlotte smiled. You see, I haven't said anything yet, and you are so excited. If I really become the chairman of the new company, you will make trouble for me everywhere. Will your subordinates submit to me? Charlotte, as long as you agree, I promise you that no one will dare to disobey you. Yushanha said. As soon as Yushanha spoke, Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan stopped talking. Ling Hao also said, Yes, Charlotte, you don't have to worry about this. With me and old Yu helping you, who dares to disobey you? Whoever disobeys will be unlucky. Charlotte said, I still say the same thing. Thunder Horse Military Factory will not be integrated with Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group. I, Charlotte, don't care about the position of chairman of the new company. I built Thunder Horse Military Factory by myself. I will not go to any company except Thunder Horse Military Factory. Thunder Horse Military Factory is now at a very critical period. As long as it passes this hurdle, it will become a top military giant in the world. At that time, it will become a famous business card of China's military industry, and it will also bring great benefit. How is it not winning glory for the country? Isn't its growth a good thing? Is it a good thing to turn a vigorous company into a place of intrigue and power struggles? The people in the room were silent. Charlotte's words were all true. These people did not come to persuade him to integrate the three companies for the honor of the country and the interests of the country. Instead, they wanted to use this method to make Thunder Horse Military Factory a part of Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group. Then they would slowly invade the management system of Thunder Horse Military Factory and get the technology of Thunder Horse Military Factory. In the end, Thunder Horse Military Factory, a dark horse, would become a dead horse. They were well aware of this, but they were at ease. Charlotte, you are too serious. Ling Hao sighed. For my sake, agree. Charlotte, also for my sake, agree. Yushanha said the same thing. Ling Hao's tone was gentle, with a hint of humbling himself to beg. However, Yushanha's tone was forceful, forcing Xiaolei to submit. If the soft approach didn't work, then the hard approach. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan sneered at the same time. In their view, Charlotte and his Thunder Horse Military Factory could not overcome the hurdle in front of them. Not for anything else, but because of Charlotte, he did not dare to offend Ling Hao and Yushanha at all. Not only Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan had such thoughts, but the others in the room also had such thoughts. They were on the same side, and Xiaolei was also on the same side. However, in comparison, Xiaolei was the only one on his side, and his forces were weak. But at this moment Charlotte laughed. Ha ha ha. What are you laughing at? There was a trace of anger on Yushanha's face. Charlotte said with a smile, Nothing, I am just laughing at myself. I always thought I was very smart, but in front of you, I am too stupid. If it were me, I would not do such a thing. What do you mean? Yushanha looked at Charlotte coldly. Charlotte was not afraid and said frankly, Since we have talked about this, I am not afraid of offending you. I will say it directly. You want to swallow my Thunder Horse Military Factory in this way, and drive me out of the military market. I can actually understand you. After all, you have to stand in your position to consider this matter. After all, the Thunder Horse Military Factory has threatened the existence of Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industry Group. But what I want to tell you is that the law of the market is survival of the fittest. If you can't do it, you can't do it. If you destroy the Thunder Horse Military Factory in this way, one day you will be eliminated from the international market. It is only a matter of time. Eliminate Shenzhou Industry Group and Hanwoo Weapons Company? Xiaolei, your tone is a little too big. Mu Jianfeng's voice rang out. Charlotte ignored him and continued, You can make me unable to get a loan, and you can also make trouble for the Thunder Horse Military Factory. But I want to tell you, I will not give in. Unless you can persuade the people above to seal my Thunder Horse military factory with an order, I will solve the problem in my own way. If the domestic banks don't give me a loan, I will make a phone call and there will naturally be a foreign bank that will give me a loan. Humph. Tell me, which country's bank can you borrow 20 billion from? Do you think it is 2 million? Yi Kuan's voice. Charlotte smiled. Since you asked, I will tell you. The UAE banks are not short of 20 billion, right? And it is in Chinese currency. I just need to give Prince Harry a phone call and I can get the money. Charlotte, do you have to make things like this? I promise you that you will not lose out in this deal. Even if you lose out in this deal, you can earn it back from other places. Ling Hao said. This was a hint. Xia Lei, however, shook his head. All right, I've made myself clear enough. I will go for a loan tomorrow. If I can't get a loan, I will get a loan from abroad. If you cause trouble for the Thunder Horse military factory, then fine, I will destroy my machine tools. At most, I will not make weapons. No one can even think about getting those advanced technologies. But I advise you not to do this, because I can do anything, but the Thunder Horse military factory has inexplicably closed down. If someone asks for the responsibility, then the responsibility is not something that can be casually found 1 or 2 people to take the blame. All right, you guys continue chatting, I will excuse myself. Under the gaze of everyone in the room, Charlotte turned around and left, not giving face to anyone. Chapter 640. Xia Lei left, but the house was still as silent as a grave. Who would have thought that Charlotte would not even give face to Ling Hao and Yushanhe? If it was someone else, this matter would have been settled. But Charlotte was not someone else, he was the only one. Damn it. That kid didn't give face. Yi Kuan broke the silence in the tea room, looking very angry. Does he really think he is Sun Wukong with 3 heads and 6 arms? Even if he really is Sun Wukong, he can't get out of Buddha's 5-finger mountain. Yushanhe frowned. Yi Kuan, what are you talking about? Yi Kuan's face suddenly froze. He was flattering Yushanhe, but he didn't expect that Yushanhe wouldn't fall for it at all. Mu Jianfeng was calm. After Charlotte left, he didn't say a word. Not only did he keep silent, but he also looked calm. It was as if what had just happened had nothing to do with him, and he was indifferent. Mr. Ling, this matter. Yushanhe tentatively said, how to deal with it? Ling Hao was silent for a moment before saying, you already have an idea in your mind, why ask me? Cunning. Yushanhe scolded in his heart, but there was a smile on his face. Mr. Ling, you helped Charlotte grow. Without your help, would his Thunder Horse military factory have developed to this scale today? I did help him, yes, but it was because of Bai. Besides, I didn't expect him to do so well in his company. Can you blame me? Ling Hao said. A private company is about to destroy Hanwu Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group, as well as other military enterprises. This matter is very serious for us. Now is not the time to blame anyone. We have to come up with a practical and effective way to let Charlotte lose control of the Thunder Horse military factory. Yushanhe said. He just said that if he can't bring the money in the country, he will go abroad to get a loan. He is very good friends with the Prince of the United Arab Emirates, and the Prince's army is also a loyal fan of the Thunder Horse military factory. It is very easy for him to get a loan from the Bank of the United Arab Emirate. Therefore, your method won't work at all, Ling Hao said. Mr. Ling, you must think of a way. Charlotte trusts you a lot and respects you a lot. Other than you, he doesn't listen to anyone else. Mu Jianfeng said. Ling Hao smiled bitterly. Do you think that if I stand on your side and persuade him to hand over the Thunder Horse military factory, he will still trust me? At the same time, in the corridor outside the tea room, Charlotte also revealed a sneer. He did not really leave. After coming out of the tea room, he had been staring at the tea room where Ling Hao and Yushanhe were. using the lip-reading technique to decipher the conversations of the people in the room. He was curious about why Ling Hao, as Mr. Z of the ZN Bureau, was involved in this matter. Everyone had a motive for doing things, but what would Ling Hao gain from doing so? At this time, Yu Shanhe came to Ling Hao's side, covered his mouth with his hand and whispered, "The person above you is about to retire, and I support you to replace him. You don't want me to support your competitor, right? That woman, you hate her very much, don't you?" This whisper obviously could not be heard by Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan, nor could anyone else in the room, but this sentence still did not escape Charlotte's lip-reading. Yu Shanhe's hand covering his mouth could not resist Charlotte's X-ray eyes at all. This was the reason why Ling Hao was involved in this matter. It was through Yu Shanhe's whisper that Xia Lei accidentally obtained a very important piece of information. That was, Ling Hao was not the person in charge of the ZN Bureau. In addition to him, there was a director, a woman. Yu Shanhe's words also revealed the current situation of the ZN Bureau. The old director was about to retire, and a woman became Ling Hao's competitor. Ling Hao nodded. "Old Yu, if I didn't support you, would I be here? This matter can't be rushed, let me think of a way." Yu Shanhe showed a smile. "Then I will wait for your good news." Charlotte withdrew his gaze. Now, he also figured out one thing, and that was, Ling Hao was actually not the director of a special office. When Ling Hao used this identity to contact him, Ling Hao's goal was him and related to the X-Secret Gold project. "Lei, what are you doing here?" Tang Yuyan's voice came from behind. Charlotte turned and walked towards her. "Nothing, let's go." Tang Yuyan said, "How was the discussion?" Charlotte smiled. "Not bad." "What did you talk about?" Tang Yuyan asked. "Don't ask, let's go." Charlotte said. "Still keeping secrets from me? It's boring." Although she said it was boring, Tang Yuyan took Charlotte's arm. His arm suddenly touched something soft, and the depression in Charlotte's heart was also melted by that thing. He was a little embarrassed, but he couldn't push her away. That was really not something a man could do. Tang Yuyan took Charlotte back to the tea room where Tang Yunhai and Zhang Yumei were. "Boy, those people didn't make things difficult for you, did they?" Tang Yunhai asked directly. "No." Charlotte smiled. "No one can force me to do something I don't want to do." Tang Yunhai and Tang Yuyan couldn't help but look at each other. The grandfather and grandson seemed to have another understanding of Charlotte's words. Tang Yunhai laughed dryly. "Let's go and have a few drinks. It's getting late, it's time to start." Charlotte nodded and said secretly in his heart, "You probably know what those people want to do, right? That's why they invited me to drink this birthday banquet. In this world, there are really few people who can be trusted." Tang Yunhai and Zhang Yumei left the tea room and went to the restaurant where the birthday banquet was held. Tang Yuyan and Charlotte walked behind them. After a few steps, she reached out and took Charlotte's arm. Her manner was intimate and natural, as if she was Charlotte's girlfriend, the kind that had lived together for several years. Along the way, many people cast strange looks at her, but she didn't mind at all. Instead, she enjoyed it. Xia Lei, on the other hand, was embarrassed by her. "If you can't get a loan, our Tang family has it. Instead of looking for a bank, it's better to look for my grandfather," Tang Yuyan said in a low voice. "Thank you, but let me solve this matter myself." Charlotte didn't think too much and refused. Borrow money from the Tang family? Moreover, he wanted to borrow 20 billion, the price he had to pay was obvious, that was to marry into the Tang family and marry Tang Yuyan. There was no such thing as a free lunch. After marrying Tang Yuyan, he would become a member of the Tang family. In the future, his life would be entangled with the Tang family. "What do you mean?" Tang Yuyan curled her lips. "Is the threshold of the Tang family so high? Are you so afraid to marry into the Tang family?" Charlotte smiled. "That's a different matter. When I married Shintu Tianyin, we separated our asset. She earned her money and I did my business. We were separated financially. Do you mean that after you and I get married in the future, we will also be separated financially? Tang Yuyan suddenly smiled. Okay, no problem. I'll ask my grandfather for a 500 million dowry, and I won't ask you for money to buy cosmetics in the future. Charlotte was speechless. There was no way to communicate. At this time, Ling Hao, Yushanhe, and a group of people also came out from another tea room. Charlotte, wait a minute. Ling Hao stopped him. Charlotte turned back with a smile. Brother Ling, what's the matter? Ling Hao walked over quickly and pretended to be unhappy. Can't I talk to you if I have nothing to do? Of course not, Charlotte said. Ling Hao sighed. Business is business, private matters are private matters. You and I can't hurt the relationship between us because of business. Charlotte smiled. Of course not, Brother Ling. I used to treat you as a brother. Ling Hao frowned slightly. What about now? Of course now. Charlotte was still smiling, but the answer in his heart was the opposite. Haha. Ling Hao laughed. Yu Yen, can I be a third wheel and sit at the same table with you later? Tang Yuyan was worried that there was no third wheel. Ling Hao volunteered to be a third wheel. How could she not be happy? She giggled and said, Of course you can, but you have to give Arlay a few glasses later. He can't drink much. Haha, now you know how to care for others. Ling Hao laughed. Charlotte, you are lucky. Charlotte felt a headache. There were not many people at the birthday banquet. There were only about 10 tables, but everyone who came to celebrate the birthday was a person of status. Charlotte and Tang Yuyan sat together, and Ling Hao sat next to Charlotte. Yushanhe, Mu Jianfeng, and Yi Kuan sat at another table. No one mentioned the integration of Thunder Horse Military Factory, Shenzhou Industrial Group, and Hanwu Weapons Company. No one even looked at Charlotte. Everyone seemed to be at peace. However, Charlotte knew that these people were waiting for Ling Hao's result. Charlotte thought to himself, how will Ling Hao persuade me? He is a very smart person and knows how to hide. He should know that even if he persuades me, I will not agree. So, what will he do? Will he use some dirty tricks to force me to give in? The friend and brother of the past had become the opponent of the present. Such a change was hard for him to accept. However, when he thought about how Ling Hao's Mr. Z had been targeting him from the beginning, he didn't really care about the relationship between him and Ling Hao. If Ling Hao hadn't been targeting him, why would he have contacted him in the first place? Would he have helped him? At the end of the day, it was all because of the X-Secret Gold Project and the supreme value of AE. As Charlotte's thoughts were quietly active, a woman suddenly walked in quietly and sat at the table. Charlotte could not help but look at her. The woman looked very young, less than 30 years old. She had short hair, and her facial features were exquisite and beautiful. She was tall and slender, with fine lines. The only drawback was that her breasts were slightly flat and did not look very big. But from an aesthetic point of view, her face could be rated 9.5 points, and her figure could be rated 9 points. However, if she were to wear a silicone bra that would only make her breasts fuller, her figure would reach a perfect 10. Women with short hair always gave people a sense of confidence and straightforwardness. This woman was obviously more outstanding in this aspect. She had a very special aura. If one were to use a character as a comparison, it would probably be Hua Mulan or Mu Guiying. Perhaps this special aura of hers touched a certain part of Charlotte's heart. He could not help but think, who is this woman? People who can come to Tang Yunhai's birthday are not simple, but why have I never seen her before? At this moment, Ling Hao's eyes moved to the short-haired woman, and his eyes quietly turned cold. The short-haired woman's eyes also moved to Ling Hao, with some unfathomable meaning in her eyes. Ling Hao and the short-haired woman did not say a word, but it was this eye contact that caught Charlotte's attention. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be her? Chapter 641. The person that Charlotte thought of was the same as Ling Hao, a member of the ZN Bureau. If he hadn't used his X-ray vision in the tea room, and hadn't used the lip-reading technique to detoxify the conversation between Yu Shanhe and Ling Hao, he wouldn't have known Ling Hao's motive for getting involved in this matter, let alone that there was a woman who was Ling Hao's competitor. However, whether the short-haired woman in front of him was a member of the ZN Bureau, and whether she was Ling Hao's competitor, these were just speculations and couldn't be confirmed. The short-haired woman and Ling Hao looked at each other, and then moved their eyes to Charlotte. It was the first time they met, and they didn't know each other. Charlotte avoided her eyes and pretended to look at Tang Yuyan's chest. He wanted to be obscene, and if the other party looked down on him because of this, it would be even better. However, when Charlotte peeked at Tang Yuyan's chest, the short-haired woman smiled and took the initiative to greet Charlotte. "Are you Mr. Xia?" Charlotte looked at the short-haired woman, smiled, and said politely, "Yes, I am Charlotte, and you are?" The short-haired woman reached out a hand to Charlotte. "Su Xiao, nice to meet you, Mr. Xia." Su Xiao, this was the first time that Charlotte had heard this name. "Hello, Miss Su, nice to meet you." Charlotte shook hands with Su Xiao. Su Xiao smiled. "The father of rifles in China, the world's top mechanic and electrical engineer. You are so young, but your life is already so wonderful. I have wanted to meet you for a long time, but I didn't have the chance until today." "Miss Su, you are welcome." Charlotte held Su Xiao's hand and didn't let go, looking very enthusiastic. Tang Yuyan kicked Charlotte under the table, and Charlotte let go. "What do you do, Miss Su?" Su Xiao smiled. "Mr. Xia, do you ask girls what they do when you see them?" Charlotte smiled and said, "Please don't misunderstand. I just want to know more about Miss Su. This way we might be able to become friends faster." "I work for the government. Sorry, I can only tell you this much," Su said with a smile. Of course, Charlotte didn't expect Su Xiao to tell him her true identity, but in his subconscious mind, the possibility of Su Xiao being from the ZN Bureau had reached 60 to 70%. When Charlotte returned to his seat, Tang Yuyan nudged his thigh with her knee and whispered, "If you want to shake hands, just shake hands. Why are you grabbing my hand and not letting go?" Charlotte didn't mind. He lowered his voice, "Do you know this Su Xiao?" "I don't know him." "Who invited her?" Tang Yuyan was stunned for a moment before replying, "Anyway, it's not me. Why do you ask?" Charlotte said, "I want to know her background. Can you help me ask your family who invited this Su Xiao?" Tang Yuyan was not an ordinary woman. From what Charlotte said, she already knew that there was something wrong with this woman's background. She nodded, then got up and left. When the birthday banquet began, Tang Yuyan returned and whispered in Charlotte's ear, "No one invited her, and I can't find out her identity." Charlotte's heart skipped a beat and he secretly said, "Is it really the woman from the ZN Bureau? But why did she come to see me in front of Ling Hao? What kind of trouble are you in?" Tang Yuyan whispered, "Last time you asked me to help you investigate Song Baicheng's situation, and now Su Zhao's situation is the same. Tell me, what can I help you with?" "Don't worry about it. You can't help me even if you want to," Charlotte said. Tang Yuyan slightly raised the corner of her mouth, but said nothing. Charlotte glanced at Su Xiao from the corner of his eye, and found that Su Xiao and Ling Hao looked at each other. The two had not spoken a word until now, as if they were strangers. However, from the look in Ling Hao's and Su Zhao's eyes, they were definitely not strangers who met for the first time. At the beginning of the birthday banquet, Charlotte and Ling Hao drank a few glasses of wine and chatted for a while. Su Xiao didn't talk to him anymore, but just ate a little and got up to leave. "Brother Ling, do you know this Su Xiao?" After Su Xiao left, Charlotte asked Ling Hao. Ling Hao shook his head. "No, it's the first time we met." Then he smiled. "What do you want? This Su Xiao is no match for Yu Yan. Listen to me, you'd better be with Yu Yan." Charlotte just smiled. Tang Yuyan looked very happy, and took the initiative to refill Ling Hao's wine. Before the birthday banquet was over, Charlotte received a phone call. It was a strange number. He hesitated for a moment but still answered the phone. "Hello, who is this?" "Mr. Xia, I'll wait for you outside." This was the voice of Su Xiao. She only said this sentence and then hung up the phone. Charlotte put away the phone. "Sorry, I have something to do, I have to go first." "What's the matter?" Tang Yuyan asked. "Company business," Charlotte said. Ling Hao said, "If you have something to do, go do it. A man should focus on his career." "Brother Ling, I'll accompany you another day." Charlotte didn't say much and got up to leave. Tang Yuyan looked very unhappy, but she couldn't find a reason to keep him. Walking out of the hotel lobby, Charlotte looked around, and soon saw Su Xiao in the direction of the parking lot. She stood beside a black car with a red flag, looking at him with a faint smile. He walked over to her. "Miss Su, why did you call me out?" Charlotte went straight to the point. "Get in the car, we'll talk in the car," Su Xiao said. Charlotte said, "Then get in my car." "No problem," Su Xiao said with a smile. Charlotte got into his Chevrolet Suburban off-road van, and Su Xiao also got into the passenger seat. Charlotte drove out of the parking lot into the street, and then drove in the direction of the Thunder Horse Army factory. Until he couldn't see the Sheraton Hotel behind him, he said aloud, "Can you say it now?" "Miss Su." "Okay, I'll say it directly." Su Xiao said, "You're in trouble now, and I can help you solve the problem." "Do you mean the problem of the loan?" Charlotte smiled. "You're really enthusiastic, but I appreciate your kindness. I can solve the problem of money myself." "Mr. Xia, do you think I look like someone who can help you get a 20 billion loan?" Su Xiao said. Charlotte was slightly stunned. "It's not about the loan. You said I'm in trouble. What kind of trouble is that?" Fan Fan. Fan Fan. And Long Bing. Charlotte frowned. "What are you trying to say? Also, how do you know about Fan Fan and Long Bing?" Su Xiao said, "I naturally have my own channels." "Who are you?" "As I said, I work for the government. That's all I can tell you." Su Xiao then changed the topic. "You may not know what kind of trouble you're in. I always tell you, Fan Fan has submitted a research report on you. And Long Bing is facing an investigation." Charlotte's heart suddenly sank. Fan Fan knew the condition of his body. Although she didn't know 100%, she knew about 50% to 60%. But even 50% to 60% was enough to put him in huge trouble. But what he didn't understand was that he had already settled with Fan Fan. Why would she betray him? "You said that Long Bing will be investigated." "Why?" Charlotte asked. "Because of you." Su Xiao said, "Don't you understand? She's your woman, and there are some things she can't get away with. There may be Liang Xiao next. If anything happens to her, it's also because of you." Charlotte's eyes suddenly became cold. "Are you threatening me?" "Mr. Xia, don't misunderstand. I'm here to help you, not to threaten you." Charlotte snorted coldly. "Help me? Tell me, what do you want from me?" "I'll tell you when you believe me." Su Xiao said, "Stop here and let me get out." Charlotte stepped on the brake and stopped the car on the side of the road. Su Xiao opened the door and got out of the car. Then she put a USB on the dashboard. "Take it back and look at it yourself. When you confirm the situation, you can call me. It's the number just now. I'll wait for you." Charlotte drove forward, but his eyes stayed on the rearview mirror. In the mirror, Su Xiao smiled and made a call gesture to him. Then, his eyes moved to the USB on the dashboard, and he was worried. Su Xiao disappeared in the rearview mirror. Charlotte took out his mobile phone and dialed Long Bing's cell phone number. "The number you have dialed is power off. Please try again later." The system voice came out of the phone. Charlotte angrily threw the phone on the sofa on the passenger seat. It wasn't until this moment that he realized the meaning of the saying, "Those who come are not good, and those who are kind don't come." This Su Xiao, in all likelihood, was that woman. Although she didn't say what she wanted, it was obvious that what she wanted was the same as Ling Hao. She wanted to take over the Thunder Horse military factory, which would be a great addition to her career. He couldn't help but compare Ling Hao with Su Xiao. Compared with Ling Hao, this woman was obviously more ruthless and tough. Back at the Thunder Horse Army factory, Charlotte went directly to his office and plugged the USB that Su Xiao gave him into the computer. There was an electronic document and a video in the USB. Charlotte opened the electronic document and was stunned at first glance. This was the unmodified research report of Fan, and the data on it was amazing. Especially his IQ of 998. What's going on? Charlotte was inexplicably surprised. I clearly saw Fan modify every index, and this original report has long been destroyed. How could it appear in Su Xiao's hands? Did Fan really betray me and give the original report to the ZN Bureau? Thinking of this, Charlotte's heart suddenly ignited with anger. After divorcing Shintu Tianyin, he vowed that he would never be deceived by a woman again, but he didn't expect to be deceived again. Charlotte opened the video file in the USB. In the video, Long Bing was sitting in a closed room. There was no one interrogating her. She was looking in the direction of the camera, her eyes slightly dull, and her face was tired. The video was very short, and there was no other content. Charlotte put away the USB, left the office, and walked to the villa. Chapter 642. The two Special Forces guards in front of the villa greeted Charlotte. Charlotte nodded and then entered the villa. But after 2 steps, he turned back and asked one of the Special Forces guards, "Did anyone come here after I left?" The Special Forces guard said, "A woman came here." "A woman?" Charlotte's heart moved. "What's her name?" The Special Forces guard said, "I don't know who she is, but she has permission to enter." "What does she look like?" Charlotte asked again. The Special Forces guard frowned. "I'm sorry, Mr. Xia. I'm not your subordinate. I'm not obliged to answer your questions." Charlotte shrugged and said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. Thank you." After entering the villa, Charlotte went directly to Fan's laboratory. When he arrived at the door, he stopped. His left eye twitched slightly, and the scene in the laboratory suddenly came into his eyes. But it was this X-ray vision that shocked him on the spot. The laboratory was in a mess. Many documents and office supplies were scattered on the ground. Fan fell on the ground of the laboratory. Her eyes were closed, and there was a very eye-catching blood stain on her forehead. Without much time to think, Charlotte pushed the door open and rushed in. He picked up Fan and pinched her Renzhong point with his hand. "Ah!" Fan moaned and slowly woke up. Her vision seemed to be very blurred. She didn't see clearly who was holding her. She suddenly became nervous. She reached out to push Charlotte and shouted, "No! Let me go! It's me! It's me! Shoo!" Charlotte covered her mouth with his hand. Only then did Fan see the person in front of her clearly. Her whole body relaxed. "Brother Lazy, it's you. That's great. That's great. I thought I would never see you again." Charlotte grabbed her soft hand. "Tell me what happened." "A woman came here. She said she wanted to look at the research report on you. I told her that your research report had already been given to Song Baicheng. But she didn't listen to me at all. She unreasonably rummaged through my lab. As you can see, she made a mess here." "Didn't the Special Forces stop her?" Charlotte asked. Fan shook her head. "There was a Special Forces soldier who heard us quarreling and came over to take a look, but she scolded him and left." "What did she find here?" Fan's expression suddenly darkened. She stammered, "Brother Lazy, I'm sorry." She snatched my phone and saw the original report in my phone. Charlotte's heart sank to the bottom of the valley, and his mood was terrible to the extreme. He had already guessed who it was. It was Su Xiao. Brother Lazy, I'm sorry, Charlotte interrupted Fan. Why didn't you delete it? Fan avoided Charlotte's eyes. I've been studying you. I've been looking for a way you can make a woman pregnant. The data is very important to me. I originally planned to delete it after I found the method, but I didn't expect that woman to come here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. She looked at Charlotte. Can you forgive me? It's not your fault. I don't blame you, Charlotte said. Fan buried her head in Xia Lei's chest and sobbed, but I still hate myself so much. I'm so useless, sob. Charlotte gently stroked her back and comforted her. Don't cry. I don't blame you. It's not your fault. Fan's delicate body trembled slightly, and her voice could be heard. Your body is a miracle, if they knew. I can't believe they would do such a thing. They. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. Who are they? They. Fan's cheeks turned red, and her voice trembled even more. Song Baiching and the people behind him. I'm talking about them. Don't be nervous. I'll take care of it. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. Don't touch me anymore. Fan suddenly spasmed, and her neck turned red. She actually had that thing at this time. Charlotte was a little speechless, but he also knew that Fan's body was very special. Even a comforting touch could make her very excited. Women after that thing were especially charming and sexy, and Fan was one of them. Her beautiful face was flushed with excitement, and there was a pink rouge on her neck. The open collar revealed a jade-like snow-white skin. The ditch was bottomless and could drown many men. Her eyes were a little misty, as if shrouded in a layer of faint mist. She looked at people with excitement, temptation, and charm. Let me help you deal with your wound. Charlotte began to divert his attention. If it was any other time, he might not be able to resist Fan's temptation and fight with her here. But today, he was not in the mood. But just as Charlotte was about to carry Fan to deal with the wound, Fan suddenly wrapped her arms around his neck, and then her whole body pressed on Charlotte's body. Charlotte hurriedly put one hand behind him to keep his balance and not be pressed to the ground by Fan. Fan kissed Charlotte's lips. She was very anxious and eager. Charlotte's lower abdomen also ignited a flame, but before the flame completely burned, he still maintained a trace of reason. He turned his head, avoided Fan's cherry lips, and said, Fan, I'm sorry, I'm really not in the mood. Fan looked at Charlotte with eager eyes. Then how about I tell you a good news? What good news? Charlotte really couldn't think of any good news that Fan could tell him at this time. He had received too much bad news. Fan moved closer to Charlotte's ear. I found a way to get your child. Ah! Charlotte was stunned, and then he said anxiously, Tell me, what is it? Fan licked her lips with her lilac tongue, and said with a seductive look, I can't stand it anymore. You have to calm me down before I can tell you. This was already an obvious hint. If he wanted to get the answer from her mouth, he had to first fill her emptiness and satisfy her desire. The last bit of reason in Charlotte's heart was gone. He suddenly pushed Fan down and then pressed on her body. Fan's legs wrapped around Charlotte's waist, and the wrinkled white lace hanging from her ankle was like a magic flag. It swayed around her ankle, releasing a mysterious smell and magic, tempting Charlotte to explore her mysterious world and find the treasure. Xia Lei really went to explore her mysterious treasure trove and savagely messed up the treasure trove. At this time, he also relaxed and no longer thought about those annoying things. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to conquer the little vixen in front of him. Tell me, what is it? Although he was already fully immersed, Charlotte did not forget the business. Can't you ask me later? Fan's words were not coherent. It felt like she was singing on a bumpy carriage. No, I want to know now. Okay, I'll tell you, you. Fan continued to sing on the bumpy carriage. I found out that your little tadpole, can release a kind of poison that can kill competitors. If that's the case, you might be able to impregnate all the women. Is it for me to eat the antidote? No, it's useless even if you eat it. It's for me, myself. It's not eating, it's putting it inside. Inside where? Aren't you in there? Charlotte only then realized where he was. He was a little embarrassed. How far have you gone in your research? It's just the beginning. As long as you give me a little time, I will definitely be able to study it. You must tell me when you are done. Of course, I will be the first to tell you. Charlotte was too lazy to say any more nonsense and immersed himself in his work. He was very clear about his own situation, but he also believed in Fanfan's ability. After all, she was the best bioengineer in the country. She had collected so many samples from his body that it was not impossible for her to study that kind of antidote. The AE Research Center might also have such ability, but the samples that Liang Xiao collected from his body would soon die. After being sent to the AE Research Center, the bioengineers there could only study dead tadpoles. Therefore, in this regard, Fanfan actually had a great advantage. The chaotic scene quieted down. Do you want children? The sweaty Fanfan whispered in Charlotte's ear in a soft tone. Charlotte said, Of course, if we have children. Fanfan suddenly got up from Charlotte's arms. Let's talk about the future in the future. Aren't you going to help me treat my wound? Let's go to my room. There is a first aid kit there. Charlotte watched Fanfan lift up her little white lace and watched her beauty slowly disappear from his sight. In his heart, he was thinking about something else. Why did she avoid this question? If a woman gave birth to a child for a man, then what this woman wanted most was a family and the identity of a wife. But judging from Fanfan's reaction just now, she was not the least bit interested in these things. This place is terrible. It will take me a long time to clean it up later. Fanfan curled the corner of her mouth. That woman is really hateful. Suddenly, a thought flashed in Charlotte's mind. Then, his left eye twitched slightly, and his microvision ability was awakened. In his eyes, the tiny traces in the laboratory appeared one by one in his field of vision. And at the same time, his brain also entered the extraordinary mode, combing through these traces one by one and reconstructing them. What are you looking at? Fanfan asked. Charlotte got up from the ground. A trace of a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Nothing. Let's go to your room. Can you touch me less later? Fanfan's cheeks blushed. I'm afraid I can't help it again. Charlotte reached out to pinch her cheek. You are a greedy kitten. No matter how much you eat, you can't get enough. Look, you are bullying me again. With such a special body, I am already pitiful enough, but you still want to bully me. Let's go. I will treat your wound. Do you think I am a bad woman because I am so greedy? Why would I? If you are a bad woman, then there are no bad women in this world. As Charlotte spoke, his eyes took in the last tiny trace. At the same time, his brain was also reconstructing the scene according to the footprints, finger marks, and so on that he could not see with his left eye in the microvision state. Almost in the blink of an eye, a tall woman who was about 1.75 meters tall and weighed 110 kilograms appeared in his mind, and Fanfan's movements in this laboratory were all simulated under the microvision, vividly displayed in Charlotte's brain. A trace of a smile appeared at the corner of Charlotte's mouth, a thought-provoking smile. Chapter 643. In the dead of night. A Chevrolet Suburban off-road van was parked on the side of a road in the suburbs. At the end of the road was a village with lights on and dogs barking could be heard from time to time. Charlotte got out of the car and looked at the woods. Su Xiao walked out of the woods, wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and tight denim shorts. Her whole body exuded a youthful and attractive aura. "I didn't expect you to call me so soon," Su Xiao said. "I thought you would call me tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow." Charlotte walked over to her. "Don't talk nonsense. I've seen everything you gave me. Tell me, what do you want?" "So direct?" Su Xiao looked a little surprised. Charlotte said, "My patience is limited. You'd better say it before I change my mind." Su Xiao smiled faintly. "Well, then I'll be straightforward. I want your Thunder Horse Military Factory. Thunder Horse Military Factory, Shenzhou Industrial Group, and Hanwu Weapons Company will be integrated. You will be the chairman, but your share cannot exceed 20%. What if I don't agree? If you don't agree, your experiment report will appear on someone's desk. You know what that means. And Long Bing, she has done a lot of things for you. She can't get away with it." "Where is she now?" Charlotte asked, suppressing the anger in his heart. "Agree to my conditions, and you will naturally see her," Su Xiao added. "It's useless for you to go to Sherborne. He can't do anything about it." Bureau Zien was more mysterious than Bureau 101, but it was also more powerful. It was not surprising that Sherborne couldn't do anything about it. "I agree to your conditions. Take me to her," Charlotte said. Su Xiao was surprised that Charlotte agreed so readily. She looked at Charlotte. "You really agree?" Xiaolei said coldly. "People like you will do anything in order to get what you want. I have a handle on me in your hands, so how can I not agree? Don't misunderstand. This is good for everyone. Stop disgusting me. Now take me to see Long Bing," Charlotte said. Su Xiao shook his head. "That won't do. You have to meet my conditions first before you can get what you want. All right, bring Long Bing to the Thunder Horse Military Factory tomorrow. I have something you want, and you give me what I want." A smile appeared on Su Xiao's face. "No problem. I'll bring Long Bing over tomorrow morning. Are you the person who is competing with Ling Hao for the position of the director of the Zien Bureau?" Charlotte said, "Both you and Ling Hao will be promoted as long as we take over the Thunder Horse Military Factory, right?" The smile on Su Xiao's face disappeared, and the look in his eyes changed. "You know all this? If you don't want people to know, then don't do it." Charlotte said, "If I give this benefit, which can be said to be a huge political capital to Ling Hao, I will also get what I want. So you'd better not provoke me, or you will be busy for nothing." "You won't do that." "Can you give me a reason not to do that? At least, Ling Hao has helped me before and we have a friendship." Su Xiao said, "There is no fourth person who knows about your research report. If you want a fifth or sixth person to know about it, then choose Ling Hao." Fan knew about the report, Charlotte knew about it himself, and now Su Xiao knew about it. There were 3 people in total who knew about it. Su Xiao used the experiment report to threaten Charlotte. Charlotte really had no choice but to use her. "All right, I will wait for you at the Thunder Horse Military Factory tomorrow morning. Bring Long Bing, the experiment report, and the relevant merger documents to me." Charlotte said this and turned to leave. Su Xiao watched Charlotte leave. It was not until Charlotte disappeared from her sight that she took out her mobile phone and dialed a good code. He agreed. "I will take the contract to the Thunder Horse Military Factory tomorrow morning." "You?" "Well, I got it." 100 meters away, in the driver's seat of the Chevrolet Suburban off-road van, Charlotte was staring at Su Xiao, using the lip-reading technique to interpret Su Xiao's words. Su Xiao put away her mobile phone. The call was very short, only a dozen seconds. Charlotte turned the car on and drove in the direction of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. On the way, Charlotte called Liang Xiao. "Xiao, it's me, Charlotte. I know it's you." It was Liang Xiao's voice. "Are you willing to call me?" Charlotte said, "When was the last time you saw Long Bing? Did you call me to ask where Long Bing is?" There was a touch of jealousy in Liang Xiao's tone. Charlotte said, "This is very important. Tell me, when was the last time you saw Long Bing?" On the phone, Liang Xiao was silent for a moment before saying, "It seems to be yesterday. I didn't see her at the station today. Did something happen to her?" "She was taken away for investigation." "What? What's going on?" Liang Xiao was surprised. Charlotte sighed softly. "It's because of me." "I see. Do you need me to do anything for you?" Liang Xiao's voice was full of concern. Charlotte said, "I don't need it for the time being. Just pretend that you don't know about it. Don't ask about Long Bing's whereabouts in 101 innings. Just do what you have to do." If I'm also taken away for investigation, will you save me?" "Yes." Charlotte hung up the phone. Back at the Thunder Horse military factory, Charlotte went directly to the arms warehouse. When he came out, he carried an engineering plastic box on his shoulder, which looked very heavy. Charlotte returned to the villa with the military canvas bag. The Special Forces guards at the door greeted Charlotte. One of them asked, "Mr. Xia, what's in the box?" Charlotte said, "An XL 2500 sniper rifle. I want to modify it." The Special Forces guard said, "Mr. Xia, can you—" Charlotte suddenly became angry. "Bastard! Do I need your permission to do anything in my place? Who are you? Who gave you the order?" "Let him talk to me in person." The two Special Forces guards' faces turned red. They were angry and wronged, but they didn't dare to get angry at Charlotte. They didn't dare to forcibly check the engineering plastic box in Charlotte's hands. In fact, they also knew that they didn't have the authority to check Charlotte's belongings. Charlotte snorted coldly and entered the villa with the engineering plastic box. The lights in Fanfan's laboratory were still on. Charlotte paused at the door of the laboratory, then pushed the door open and walked in. Fanfan was mixing a tube of biological medicine and looked very focused. Charlotte put the engineering plastic box under a table and said, "I'm back." Only then did Fanfan notice that Charlotte had come in. She looked back at Charlotte, then turned her head back and said, "Wait for me, I'll be ready soon." Charlotte walked over, took a look at the biological medicine that Fanfan was mixing, and then moved his eyes to a monitor. There were some drug names on the monitor, as well as some biochemical formulas, which looked very complicated. However, this complexity was only for others. In his eyes, these contents were not profound knowledge. He could understand it as long as his brain worked a little. It was this content that made Charlotte's heart skip a beat. "Fanfan, are you studying that antidote?" "Yes, you can see it?" "Haha." Fanfan looked back and smiled. "My idea is very correct, and today's work is also very smooth. I think I can succeed after a while." "I thought you had succeeded," Charlotte said. Fanfan said, "It's not that easy. This is a very complicated biological engineering. I have to try it step by step and find the right formula among a bunch of mistakes." Speaking up to here, she handed a tube of medicine in her hand to Charlotte, then said with a smile, "Do you think it was successful? Let me tell you, once I put it in my body, it will make my body inflamed." Charlotte's gaze moved to the monitor again, and his brain suddenly switched to another mode. In his brain, countless drugs and biological materials appeared like snowflakes, as well as many biochemical formulas. His brain constantly disassembled the components of the drugs and biological materials, calculated, and then made a feasible combination. Mistakes appeared one after another, and each error gave a hint so that the next calculation and combination would move in the right direction. Fanfan was right. This kind of experiment was actually to find the right answer among a bunch of mistakes. Fanfan needed to try bit by bit, but Charlotte didn't need to. He only needed to use her brain to calculate and make a simulation combination. Therefore, the work that Fanfan needed 10 days to half a month, or even longer to complete, only needed a few minutes for him. Fanfan was immersed in her work, and Charlotte was also using his brain to do the same thing. After more than 10 minutes, Charlotte let out a slight breath, and a smile appeared on his face. 10 minutes ago, he couldn't make a woman pregnant, but now, he had found a way to make a woman pregnant. He only needed the relevant drugs and biological materials, and he could configure an antidote to prevent his little tadpoles from killing each other. What a pity it still failed. Fan put down the test tube, looking a little depressed. She would never know that the experiment she had just done was just one of thousands of simulation experiments that Charlotte had done with his brain. It doesn't matter, we have plenty of time. Charlotte reached out and touched her hair, looking very gentle. Fan leaned her head on Charlotte's lower abdomen. How did your talk with that woman go? Charlotte put his hand into her neckline and said naughtily, It's done. I've thought it through. I'm willing to integrate the Thunder Horse Military Factory, the Shenzhou Industrial Group, and the Hanwoo Weapons Company to build the largest military industry group in Asia. Really? Fan trembled slightly, and even her voice was trembling. But you said you didn't want to. It's all my fault, Charlotte said softly. I said, I don't blame you. Building the largest military industry group in Asia is also my wish. Now that the opportunity to realize my wish is in front of me, why wouldn't I do it? It's good that you can think like this. Don't torture me anymore, I want you. Fan Fanfang's eyes were already blurred. Her eyes were filled with longing, and her body was empty. Charlotte picked her up by the waist and walked to the door. When he went out, he glanced at the engineering plastic box out of the corner of his eye, and then a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Chapter 644. The morning sun pierced through the dark sky and cast a golden light. Fan got up from the bed, feeling weak all over. Last night, Charlotte tormented her for most of the night, making her exhausted but happy. Charlotte wasn't in bed. Fan looked in the direction of the window and saw that Charlotte was on the phone, but she couldn't hear what Charlotte was saying. She climbed out of the bed and got out of bed. A wisp of morning breeze swept across her naked body, bringing a coolness. She picked up the white lace that had fallen to the ground. Just as she put it on, Charlotte walked in from the balcony and looked at her with a smile. She covered her breasts shyly. How can you do this? Turn around and don't peek. Charlotte smiled. What part of your body haven't I seen? I knew you would say that. You men are all like this. Everything is precious before you get it, and it's not precious after you get it. Fan curled up the corner of her mouth, then let go of her hand and put on the bra in front of Charlotte. Charlotte watched quietly as if he was admiring a piece of art. Have you seen enough? Fan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. You're so beautiful. I can't get enough of looking at you for a lifetime, said Charlotte. A sweet smile bloomed on Fan's face. There was no woman who didn't like such sweet words. Moreover, such warm and romantic sweet words came from the mouth of a man like Charlotte. The same words coming out of Beckham and Tyson's mouths definitely felt different. Fan put on her shirt and short skirt and said, Who did you call just now? Charlotte said, I called that woman. She's already here. I'm going to see her. Do you want to go with me? I'm going? Fan was slightly stunned. Is it appropriate for me to go? What's wrong with that? Xiale said, I like having you by my side. Fan smiled and said, What's wrong with you today? You're saying so many sweet words to me. Charlotte said, People always change. Don't you like it? I like it. Fan took Charlotte's arm. I'll go with you to see that woman. Charlotte took Fan to his office. Not long after, Su Xiao arrived. Su Xiao came in with Long Bing, who looked very pale. Xia Lei and Long Bing looked at each other. Although the two of them did not communicate verbally, their gazes seemed to convey all the things that should be conveyed: care, worry, and affection. Su Xiao put a file on Charlotte's desk and said directly, Mr. Xia, let's do what we agreed yesterday of. Charlotte opened the file and took out the contract inside. There were a total of 6 contracts in the file, 2 of which needed to be signed by the legal representative of the Thunder Horse Army Factory, 2 of which needed to be signed by the legal representative of the Shenzhou Industry Group, and 2 of which needed to be signed by the legal representative of the Hanwoo Weapons Company. Charlotte briefly looked at the contract that needed his signature and said, "Why didn't the legal representatives of the Hanwoo Weapons Company and the Shenzhou Industry Group come?" Su Xiao said, "You only need to sign where you should sign. As for the signatures of the Shenzhou Industry Group and the Hanwoo Weapons Company, I will deal with them separately. But don't worry, there's no problem." "Don't sign it," Long Bing said aloud. "Don't let me be your stumbling block. Otherwise, I won't be at ease for the rest of my life." "Shut up." Su Xiao glared at Long Bing. Long Bing raised the corner of her mouth, and her eyes were cold. "It's you who should shut up, bitch. I despise people like you who sacrifice the interests of the country for your own interests the most. Even if people like you become generals, you are just parasites. You..." Su Xiao was about to lose her temper, but she saw that Charlotte was looking at her fiercely. She then controlled her anger and said, "Forget it, I won't argue with you. Mr. Xia, sign it." Charlotte said lightly, "It's such a big thing. What's the point of me signing it? My Thunder Horse Army Factory is worth 10 billion yuan. Isn't it too hasty for you to ask me to sign it?" Su Xiao suddenly frowned. "What else do you want?" Xiaolei said, "Let's wait for everyone to arrive before we sign." "Wait until everyone is here?" Su Xiao suddenly reacted. "Who else did you invite?" Charlotte said lightly, "I've invited all the people who should be invited. I guess those who shouldn't be invited will come by themselves. So don't worry. There will be a satisfactory result for everyone. You just need to wait a little longer." Su Xiao's eyes moved to Fanfan. Fanfan's face was expressionless and calm, but the look in her eyes became complicated. Xiao walked to Long Bing's side and said in a low voice, "Trust me, nothing will happen." Long Bing nodded gently. At this time, Lu Xing walked in. "Chairman Xia, they're here." Charlotte said, "Let them in." "Okay." Lu Xing moved closer to Charlotte's ear and whispered, "I've prepared everything you asked me to prepare. Qin Xiang is also okay." Charlotte nodded. Go. Lu Xing left. Su Xiao seemed to smell something wrong. "Mr. Xia, what's going on? We talked about it yesterday. What are you playing at?" Charlotte shrugged. "Am I playing tricks?" Su Xiao's eyes were cold, and her tone was full of threat. "You'd better think about what will happen to you if you don't sign these documents." Charlotte just smiled faintly. "Don't worry. You." Su Xiao was angry on the spot. Charlotte walked to Su Xiao and looked at her face to face. Then he moved closer to her ear and whispered, "Miss Su, I know who you're working for." "You?" Su Xiao was stunned. Charlotte didn't continue. He stepped away. Footsteps came from outside the door. It was not the footsteps of one person, but a group of people. Soon, Ling Hao and Yu Shanhe appeared at the door of the office. Behind them were Mu Jianfeng, Yi Kuan, and several people from the equipment department. Tang Tianlong was also among them. Seeing these faces, Su Xiao's face suddenly became gloomy. Fanfan had been calm all this time, but when these faces appeared in front of her, she could no longer keep her calm. Ling Hao's eyes were fixed on Fanfan the moment he appeared at the door. He had a smile on his face, but when he saw Fanfan, the smile on his face disappeared. "Ha! Mu Jianfeng was the happiest one." He laughed. "Charlotte, I'm too lazy to wait for you to think it through. This is a good thing for the country and the people. You see, I prepared the contract as soon as I received your call." Yu Shanhe also smiled. "Charlotte, today you signed it in public. From now on, the 3 companies will become one, and the new company will become the largest military enterprise in Asia. You're taking great credit." Charlotte smiled. "Yes, this is indeed a good thing. But you're a step too late." Mu Jianfeng's smile suddenly froze on his face. What do you mean? Yushanha's eyes also moved to Fanfan. He seemed to realize something. Charlotte pointed to the 6 contracts on the desk, then pointed to Su Xiao and said, Miss Su came first. She also prepared the same contract for me. Tell me, should I sign it with you or with her? The office suddenly became quiet, and the atmosphere became strange. No one spoke, but their eyes were not idle. They looked at each other in the air like a net. This net caught everyone. Some people were prey and some were hunters. Some people thought they were hunters, but they were actually prey. Some people looked like prey, but they were actually hunters. That was the way of the world. What the eyes saw and the ears heard could be false. Charlotte, Ling Hao said aloud, what do you mean? Did you call me here just to tease me? Charlotte said, Brother Ling, how dare I tease you? I'm just a nobody. I survive in the cracks of you big shot. I dare not offend anyone. You want to take away my Thunder Horse Army factory, and I'm willing to hand it over. I'm so cooperative. Did I do anything wrong? You called me here, but you called her here. What do you mean? Ling Hao looked at Su Xiao and said, Brother Ling, are you sure it's Miss Su? Charlotte smiled. Not someone else? Ling Hao frowned. What do you mean? Oh, I'm just saying. I don't mean anything else. Charlotte shrugged. Let's get down to business. Who should I sign the contract with? You called me here, of course, to sign the contract with me. Ling Hao said. Su Xiao glanced at Fanfan and said, I discussed this with Mr. Xia, and I came first. Of course, you should sign the contract with me. With you? Not worthy. Ling Hao was full of anger. You. Su Xiao wanted to say something but stopped. She seemed to be afraid of Ling Hao. At this time, Yushana said, Okay, this is a good thing for the country and the people. No matter who you sign with, we should focus on the result, not the process. Let me make the decision. Mr. Xia, you can sign directly with Old Mu and Yi Kuan. I agree. Yi Kuan couldn't wait and said, Mr. Xia, let's start now. Yes, sign the contract first, and then we can talk about other things. Mu Jianfeng was also a little impatient. Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng both took out the contract and were ready to sign it with Charlotte. Ling Hao and Fanfan looked at each other, and their eyes were very complicated. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan were ready, but Charlotte said calmly, What's the hurry? Such a big thing, even if you want to sign, you should first explain the situation clearly. Mr. Xia, what else do you want to add? Please go ahead. Yushanha seemed very polite. Charlotte said slowly, It's not impossible for you to take away my Thunder Horse military factory, but I have to say something first. He didn't say it at the critical moment, deliberately leaving them hanging. Just say what you want to say. Yushanha urged. Boom. Suddenly, there was a violent explosion. The moment the explosion sounded, the office building trembled slightly, and a large part of the window glass was smashed. The timid Yi Kuan even lay on the ground, sticking out his fat butt, looking like a fat hamster avoiding danger. Fanfan suddenly rushed to the window and looked in the direction of the villa. Her face suddenly became gloomy. The place where the explosion happened was her laboratory. Billowing smoke came out of the broken glass window and the hole in the wall, accompanied by the fire, and the messy reaction of chemical reagents came into her vision. At that moment, her heart sank into an icy valley. You're tuning into the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.